All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? Hour one, Schaefer and Sliwa. Should be an entertaining afternoon. We've got a ton to get into. Brian Dutcher.
Busy day.
Will join us live at 3:30. Aztecs offseason well underway. Transfer portal closed. Roster coming together. He'll join us at 3:30. We'll talk about the draft with Demetrius Sumler, San Diego State's first-year defensive coordinator. He's been on staff a long time on the Mesa. Chris Johnson could be drafted tonight, the Aztec corner. So Demetrius Sumler will join us at 4 p.m. And of course, we have our eyes on the Padres.
Yeah.
Anytime you're playing in a rubber match, a lot of swinging. You win this, you take a series. You lose this, you've lost 2 straight, and you've lost a series to the Colorado Rockies. And it's turned out to be, I actually tweeted in the second inning, that 1st to 10. It feels like a 1st to 10 type day in Denver. And it could still be. Rockies clinging right now to an 8-6 lead in the 9th inning. We'll see if the Padres can come from behind to win this thing tonight.
Yeah, I like the way you kind of described it in the beginning. I mean, it's a swing game, and if you take 2 or 3, then that's all you're looking to do in any series. Obviously, the Padres have got off to a great start, but regardless of what happens tonight, I definitely think there's some I definitely think there's some storylines that we can jump off on the Padres, but they're in it right now. Still got a shot. You're in the 9th. They're within striking distance, 8-6. And as we obviously go here, we'll keep you guys posted as the game progresses.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's hard to have like these like strong reactions when a game is playing out. I will say this. We were just an inning removed from Fernando Tatis Jr. batting in a big spot. He was representing the tying run in an 8-5 game with 2 on. And he was completely overpowered. They went to a reliever that he was 5 for 7 against lifetime. The guy who's on the mound right now, he was 5 for 7 off him lifetime. He got ahead 1-0. Then it was 3 straight fastballs, 2 of which he swung through, just blown by him. And he is, I'm telling you right now, Alan, I don't care what happens today. If they win and come from behind fashion, amazing. Tatis right now, barring something later in this game, potentially he is just going through it right now. And the Padres, by the way, have found themselves, are they tied? Or is it 8-7?
8-7.
8-7.
Yep.
So they could very well win this game. Nobody out in the 9th, batting, trailing 8-7 in Colorado. But yeah, the Tatis thing is what it is.
Let's stay on the Tatis, because I think the Tatis thing is as the one thing that's been able to happen for the Padres, and we know Machado is not hitting for power. By the way, his average also under 200. We know Fernando Tatis has not hit a home run this entire season, but a lot of this has been buried. The story has been buried because they're 16-8 and they're playing good ball.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's other question marks, and think about the last 2 weeks. There have been massive stories around the San Diego Padres in the last 2 weeks. I'll give you a couple of them. Nick Pivetta going down with an injury. The Padres selling for $3.9 billion. One of the best records in all of Major League Baseball. The signing of Lucas Giolito. I could go down the list of how many different stories have come up. And the more stories that have come, it's been, you don't have to talk about Tatis. You don't have to talk about Machado. But I think what you said about the Tatis, obviously, front of things, unbelievable.
Sheets just hit a 3-run homer? Wow. So, I mean, this is 1st to 10, maybe. The Padres with 5 in 10. The 9th.
There's still nobody out.
With nobody out.
Let's go.
5 in the 9th. Now lead the Rockies 10-8. That is incredible. Just really from out of nowhere.
I'll say this because I was going at Tatis. He is the first one congratulating everybody.
Listen, to your point, here's the thing. I would have gone harder at Tatis today if they didn't win this game. I'm not going to do it now. I mean, if they win this game, if they find a way, they turn to Mason Miller, presumably, in the bottom of the 9th inning, and they just hold on and win this game, it's fine. You're 17-8. It's hard to be critical when you have the best winning percentage in the sport. So you can put it off another day.
Can we also just say, when is this man going to hit a home run?
Well, you can definitely say that. I've said it all year long, basically, since the season has started.
But you're right. It's a little tougher.
It's harder. I mean, is the story today if they win 10-8 Fernando Tatis Jr.? Probably not.
No, you're right. It's not. It's not.
But yeah, it's a topic. It's like an evergreen topic in San Diego. Will Tatis homer? I mean, of course he will.
Well, this is a 3-game set in Colorado. And we've done this. We've put this a couple different times. We put it in the wrap. Talked about Colorado. You got Mexico City. You got 2 places that you can hit home runs, and he still hasn't hit it. I don't know what's going to come. I don't know if it's going to come in bunches, but you know what? Let's bury that story because it ain't a story anymore. It's not a story for at least today and a couple days.
There's something. I'll tell you what. 25 games in through today, this team finds ways. Yes, they've done it with their pitching staff or their bullpen at times, and like a day where you need your offense, you're trailing all day long, down 5-2 and 6-3 and 6. Like you need your offense to show up. They've done very little in the first 2 games.
Yeah, they have. I think 4 runs coming into this game.
Yeah, an 8-3 loss. Like this is a day you needed this, and you got this. Gavin Sheets, I think it's his birthday, by the way.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, I saw that run in the 9th to give the Padres a 10-8 lead. Now you feel, it's Denver, but you feel good, presumably, if Mason Miller's pitching in the bottom of the inning.
Well, this kind of came a little bit out of nowhere. Listen, let's kind of add to some of the resiliency for the Padres so far this year. Just off the top of my head, I'm going to give you some games that they've been able to come back in. They had a game against the Red Sox down 4-0. They came back in that game and I think won 8-6 or 9-8, something like that. They had a game against the, let me see the other one. I know Seattle Mariners, they were down, I want to say 6-0, came back 7-6. They've had a few moments here. Today they were down 8-4 and 8-5 walking into the 9th. They're up 10-5 right now. They've had some moments so far this year where there's a little bit of fight. There is a little bit of resiliency. And I love, I know you and I want to see a home run from Tatis. We want to see Machado come through in a big spot. But what do you think it means when it's not those players? Because there's also something about seeing Gavin Sheets be the one that hit the 3-run homer. Ramon Laureano kind of keep the ball, keep the guys moving. Xander Bogaerts has got off to a good start. Jackson Merrill, I want to say, started off the inning with a walk. What does it say if it's not the 2 main guys, but it's everybody else picking the squad up?
It says they're a team. It says to me it's a little bit more like, again, I go back to 2024 because that team had resilience. It had a flair for not being out of games. They found ways to overcome deficits. That wasn't necessarily who they were a year ago. It's just I would prefer the well-rounded team. I always go back, like the Angels had Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani.
Both of those guys overrated. I mean, they've done nothing.
But the issue was they weren't well-rounded. This is a team where you're getting productivity from players like Gavin Sheets. And now Xander Bogaerts has had a great start to his year. Ramon Laureano has been a godsend for this organization since they acquired him last July. So
3 for 5 today, too.
I almost prefer it this way.
Yeah.
Although I got no problem with Manny Machado carrying a team for 2 weeks. But I think the better way to win long term is the way they're doing it right now. They're getting contributions everywhere.
Campusano, where you can't. It's so easy, and it's been this way for the Padres, especially last season, where it's like, hey, you get to a few of these guys at the top of the order, it just falls off a cliff moving forward. Right. Not that every player is perfect, but there are less holes that you could take advantage of the Padres right now.
No doubt about it. So again, Padres. It's an interesting game as well because I thought about this when they went down. You're like, you know what? It's a random day game in Colorado. You're going to Mexico City after this game. I'm sure they're all looking forward to it. I remember the last time they were there. I mean, it's a scene, right? You're in a different country. It's an awesome opportunity. So and they don't even
You're not
play
going
tomorrow.
To Cincinnati or something like that.
They're not going to Philly today to play an April game. They're going to Mexico City. They're off tomorrow. Like this is I've said this now 2 or 3 times this year. It's a very easy game to excuse a loss in. Like just warm up the bus. Who cares? Let's get to the airport. But they haven't done that. And that is a credit to them. I don't know if it's Craig Stammen where it starts or if it's internal, in the clubhouse with these players. But like credit to the Padres for getting off to a 17-8 start. If they win this game, that's one of the best starts in the history of the franchise.
Well, I think what you said, it's not just you can pack it in and say, hey, it is what it is. Not only coming into this game, they might be excited about going to Mexico City. You're coming into the 9th inning down 8-5.
Yep.
So if let's add a layer of packing it in. It's like, guys, they just didn't have it today.
Right,
Pitching was awful. Matt Waldron was awful. Even Maury Hone gave up a solo home run. There's a number of players, specifically Waldron, that kind of set the tone. They didn't give up. They didn't give up coming into the game, and obviously 8-5, they still made it happen.
And the beauty,
or making it happen because it's not done.
It's not done, and we'll see what Mason Miller is able to do in the bottom of the inning. He hasn't thrown in 3 or 4 days now, but that's also the luxury of having Mason Miller because a lot of times in Denver, you're like, we don't know, things could happen, but in Denver, no game is over. That's 10-8, and they've shown the flags all day long and the wind, and it's whipping and the conditions. The luxury the Padres have is Mason Miller to pitch 9th innings, and we know what he's done so far this year. We'll see if he can do it once again here today. I can't complain about going 6-1 against the Rockies to start the year if they win this game.
Yeah, how about our rundown today? We're like, oh, we're coming at Tatis.
That's always the issue.
We're coming at Machado.
When a game is on.
It's not an issue. It's just kind of funny how things play out.
Right.
You know, if they lose this game 8-5, we are having the same conversation that we were preparing for. But if they come back and they end up winning this game, then, you know, the tune clearly changes. And I think at least for now, we'll see going into it. But it is pretty funny that we're like, yeah, well, we're coming after him. Okay, I got a question about Matt Waldron, because I think this is more referencing today. He's had 2 starts for the Padres so far. And what I'm trying to figure out is I want to look at his exact stats, because he had the start against the Angels. That's a game that I was at where they lost 8-0. And then he had the start tonight or this afternoon. So far, just what he's done this year. And I'm trying to figure out, at what point do you say, all right, I'm good on Matt Waldron and I don't need to see that again. The game against the Angels, he went 3 2/3, gave up 6 earned runs and 8 hits. And then this afternoon, try to see that one on the fly here of what he gave up. What did he give up today?
I don't have it in front of me.
Yeah, I'm trying to grab it here.
I think it was like 6 runs in 5 innings.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
6 runs in 5 innings.
What do they do there? Is this a kind of, I don't know if you want to make the case while they're in Colorado, but his starting against Anaheim was not that much different. I just got no confidence in the guy, and I know they're so thin right now. It's trying to figure out. He went 5 innings today, 8 hits, 6 earned runs, and 3 base on balls. Three walks.
I think he gets another start.
Okay.
Because they're 17-8. I think if you're 8-17, he doesn't. But I think because you can buy time right now, don't have to be perfect.
And remember, these are literally the Pivetta starts.
And 17-8. My guess is he gets another start. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. It's a good point. Now, do I think he's going to make 25 starts? I hope not. Based on what we've seen, I don't need to see him make 25 starts.
Yeah.
But I would guess he gets at least one more start. All right, we're going to react to this game. It is not yet final. Padres now leading, heading to the bottom of the 9th inning, 10-8. Also, Brian Dutcher will join us in 15 minutes. Brian Dutcher, Aztecs men's basketball coach, entering year 10 on the Mesa, will join us in 15 minutes. Reaction to the Padres.
The connects you have. Jeez.
The connections. Brian Dutcher in 15 minutes. This is San Diego Sports 760. We're live on the iHeartRadio app. Padres win in Denver. Brian Dutcher will join us in 11 minutes. We're talking some Aztecs basketball, but what a win from 8-5 down in the ninth, a 5 spot on the strength of Gavin Sheets' 3-run go-ahead, eventually game-winning home run. And Mason Miller extends his scoreless streak to 33 and 2/3 innings, tied for the longest in franchise history with Clay Meredith. That's a series. I'm on board from 1-0 to 10-8 and everything in between.
Happened today?
What happened in this? What happened today? How did they win this game?
Yeah, and basically down the entire game. They took a early 1-0 lead. They were down 1-0.
Then up 2-1.
Up 2-1, and then eventually down 5-2 at one point in this game. Make it 5-3, down 6-3. It 6-4, and then it gets to 7-4. It keeps going, but found a way to win. And a lot of times we want to watch these games, and this is baseball, right? You just hang on every pitch, and every time they have a bad loss or 2 losses in a row, all the momentum goes away. Every fan thinks that the world is going to end. But when you have a game like this, come back in a game and Gavin Sheets with the 3-run homer to give the Padres a 10-8 win. When you have a win like this too, this is more representative of what the Padres have been all season long. They're 17-8 now on the season. They've won 6 series in a row. You clearly can't ask for anything more. And it's a conversation that you and I were having when we started the show. The thing I like most about this team, there's really not one person that you can say, yeah, it's all on his shoulders, or it's all on this one player, or it's all, if this guy doesn't come through, they have no shot. If I look at the pitching rotation, I could tell you Michael King. I could tell you Randy Vasquez. I could tell you that Buehler's had a couple good starts, a couple bad ones as well. Marquez, kind of the same thing, but I could go down the list. This is just the staff. Then you could look at Mason Miller and Adrian Morejon and Jason Adam coming back. But I love that it's a team performance, because if you're going to have any shot come postseason against, I know we got a long way to go, but it's got to be a squad. It's got to be a team. It's got to be collectively. And if it's not that, the danger of losing is much higher.
The knock on AJ Preller for the first handful of years he was GM was he was building top heavy or incomplete rosters. They weren't 26 deep. They weren't well-rounded. And he's really changed that narrative. You look at the last couple of years, he's had, by and large, the depth necessary, whether it's his bullpen, the back of his rotation. 7, 8, 9 this year. That was an issue last year. It's not as much this year. Preller deserves a lot of this credit. Gavin Sheets was DFA'd by the Chicago White Sox, non-tendered 2 years ago. Where does he end up here? He's been a big piece of this puzzle. And there's so many examples of that. Miguel Andujar had a big hit in this game and has had some moments to start this year.
Yeah, he has.
So, it's easy. Honestly, it's easy. I can sign Manny
Pivetta. Don't forget about Pivetta. Don't forget about some of these other, the pitchers that they've, found ways to get into the system and work with.
I mean, I can sign Manny Machado. That's not hard. Mm-hmm. That's the easiest thing in the world. I can sign Xander Bogaerts to a rich deal. The harder moves are Pivetta.
The value.
Yeah, the value plays, especially when you're working with a budget. And 17-8 doesn't make a season, but 17-8 does put you in a position where you should feel really good about where you're sitting right now.
I actually think Preller is better in this case. I think Preller. Here's the interesting thing with the time with Peter Seidler, and they just went on the spending spree.
Yeah.
I feel like AJ Preller is better at this, what he does of finding value. Mm-hmm. That's really, I think, his strength. And that's a phenomenal strength to have. Now, what you want is a combination of the two. Can I also identify, if I'm going to go out there and I got a budget, can I make sure that I also spend? When I spend, I'm spending on the right players. Right. When I get them, I'm getting them to a certain amount of years where I feel like that contract is not going to kill us in 4 or 5 years. Padres had a goal when Peter Seidler took over and wanted to obviously do everything he can to try to hang with not just the Dodgers, but really say any team in the NL, right? Give the Padres a chance to win a World Series. But wouldn't you agree that where AJ Preller is most, I do think it's when he's at his best, it's finding value in players that maybe somebody else didn't see, or maybe, hey, I could put them into the system here, and because of the coaching staff and the culture and everything else, it could be more productive here.
Completely. Yeah, I really do feel that way. I mean, I think some of these larger deals, they're very questionable. There are question marks on the future of some of these deals. However, in the here and now, even with the questionable larger deals, the team collectively is winning. And I would argue, to your point, they're not winning at this clip without the savviness of the Gavin Sheets move or the Nick Pivetta move. Clearly, I mean, they're nowhere near the team they were last year without Nick Pivetta. That came very late, very late. I go back to even Lucas Giolito. We'll see what it means, but I mean, this could pay dividends. In
What's
fact,
the risk?
There's not
literally no risk.
Fangraphs playoff percentage went up. Dan Zimborski wrote an article today at Fangraphs. Their playoff percentage went up. He wrote 10% by signing Lucas Giolito. That was the highest of any team in baseball for adding that one player. Other teams could have added him. It wouldn't have gone up 10%. But because of the Padres' rotational need, that's how impactful a move like that could be. Doesn't mean it will be, but could be. So I'm singing your tune.
That says something.
Yeah.
You think, I know we don't have to get into this now, but do you think if we went back and you look at some of these contracts, and Seidler, of course, had a lot to do with, hey, let's go out there. Let's be aggressive. Whatever we have to do to go get this player or that player. How do you think if he said, hey, you got, instead of spending X amount of dollars on, you pick whichever of these contracts out there, I wonder how Preller would have done it. Like, I think there's also a piece where I'm sure Preller would say, no, I'd rather have, I'd rather balance this thing out.
Right.
I'd rather kind of share some of this pie here than have so many play or a couple of players that have such a piece of where your salary is.
We'll hear from Craig Stammen at 3:45, but we'll switch gears because Brian Dutcher will join us live as Aztecs in the portal, which is now closed, putting their roster together, looking at their schedule for next season, and much more with Brian Dutcher on the other side, Aztecs' 10th year men's basketball head coach. Joining us next on Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760. We're live on the iHeartRadio app.
This report is sponsored by Anderson Plumbing, Heating, and Air. LL Cool J said it. Don't call it a comeback. The Padres come back to defeat the Rockies in Game 3, 10-8 off of Gavin Sheets' 3-run homer in the top of the 9th inning. Mason Miller picked up his 9th save of the year. And coming up in about an hour and a half, the NFL draft is finally here. The Raiders have the number 1 pick. I said they should make that about 5:15. And NBA news, we've got a couple more Game 3s today. We got Knicks Hawks at 4. We got Cleveland at Toronto at 5, and we got Timberwolves and Nuggets at 6:30. Choosing the right home service company isn't just about fixing what's broken. It's about trusting who's in your home. That's why homeowners count on Anderson for friendly professional service that keeps everything running right. Visit AndersonPHA.com.
All right, let's catch up right now with Brian Dutcher. And this is hard to believe, probably for Dutch. It is for me and I think Aztec fans. Brian Dutcher entering year 10 as the head coach at San Diego State on the Mesa, coming out of a busy portal window. The roster is not complete, but that transfer portal is closed. We'll talk about the roster, what's to come for the Aztecs moving forward as well. But Dutch, you're on with Schaefer and Alan Sliwa, my new co-host, and great to have you on. Hope all is well. I'm sure it's been busy.
It's great to connect with you guys. I'm in the car, so hopefully my audio is okay, but things are looking up for Aztec basketball.
All right, so I know you and your staff have been crazy busy. I want to start with the retention piece because you keep the core pieces from your freshman class, right? LZ Harrington and Tay Simmons. Can you just touch on having those two players back and what it's going to mean for your program moving forward into next year?
Vital pieces to the Aztec future. Obviously, LZ was outstanding, started for us, put out really good numbers, really contributed to winning, dealt with some injuries that hopefully will correct over the summer and get a 100% healthy LZ Harrington heading into next year.
Coach, what is this time of the year? And I'm sure as we all just pay attention to during the season and winning Mountain West games, of course, the Pac-12 next year, and can they make the tournament, everything else. But I'm sure it's as busy as any time of the year, as chaotic as any time of the year. Can you kind of walk us behind the scenes? What is the month of April and these next, obviously handful of days or weeks or so for you and the staff?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'll finish with Tay. Tay Simmons played his way into the starting lineup, was a fan favorite, plays with such great energy, physicality. And so Tay and LZ are cornerstones of what we're doing. And then you have to build on those cornerstones. We had Latrell Davis sit out this year, and anybody that came to practice would leave saying that Latrell was one of our top 2 or 3 players on the roster last year, but because we redshirted him, didn't get any action. So great pieces to return. Then the portal is the portal. I used to say, man, if we sign 2 or 3 kids, that's a huge recruiting class. Now I'm out there trying to sign 6 or 7 with the addition of obviously Zach in this early signing period out of the high school. We're looking for a lot of really good pieces, and we've added really good pieces already.
Brian Dutcher with us right now on San Diego Sports 760 and Schaefer and Sliwa. Can you touch on some of the newcomers that you've officially announced? I'm thinking about Bear Cherry, the big man out of San Diego, Nick Anderson, the wing, the guard out of Rice, Chance Gladden, who had a great freshman year at Boston University in the Patriot League. What will these 3 players hopefully add to your roster?
Bear Cherry, who's on campus right now, kind of hanging out with us. Strength you need to compete at a high level. And that's not only in the new Pac-12. That's going against these non-conference teams we play that have enormous size on the inside. So Bear gives us that physical presence that we need. He's a 5th-year senior. He's got experience, and all that will be important to our success. Chance, coming off of really good freshman year, is a big guard, a point guard that can get to his spot anywhere on the floor. It can score the ball, average 4.5 assists a game, and so he will fill a big role for us. Nick if you look analytically, Nick might be as high a rated guy as we've ever signed. 3-point shooting, getting to the foul line, impact on winning. And so Nick is a really good pickup. So those three added to what we have is a great start. And with that being said, we've got a couple more guys that we're deep down the road on that I feel will come to San Diego State once we finalize details of some contract stuff, which I'm dealing with contracts now. So I'm dealing with agents, I'm dealing with contracts, I'm dealing with redlining what we're offering, change the terminology. So yeah, I am a GM, but I feel as if we have two more guys that we're close to signing and finishing, both Wadley and San Diego State. And now, as they say, the devil is in the details, and we need to add these two guys and then continue to pursue others.
Coach, I'm curious. Brian Dutcher joining us here on the Schaefer and Sliwa Show. How much do you enjoy that process? I'm sure a lot different than the way college basketball was in the past. What is that when you say that now you got to deal with agents and this, and what is that new world for you, and how much are there positives and negatives to that approach?
I am not a complainer. And so just tell me what rules I'm dealing within, how it has to get done, and I'm going to roll my sleeves up and get it done. So I know a lot of people don't like the current state of what's happening, but we can't put our head in the sand and let San Diego State take a step backwards as a basketball program. And so my intent is to put a team together that will be better than last year's team. And if I don't believe it can happen, it won't. So if dealing with agents is part of it, then let's do it. If negotiating is part of it, let's do it. It's not just money that wins, it's culture that wins. And so we're finding the right kind of kids we want in our program. Where, yeah, part of it is going to be money, but part of it's going to be development, it's going to be character, it's going to be wanting to win, and that's where we're going to be better than some other teams, that we recruit culture as much as we recruit talent.
Yeah, I love that. Really good insight, again, from Brian Dutcher, Aztecs 10th-year men's basketball head coach. Dutch, what's the balance like in terms of maintaining your defensive identity, but obviously also weighing, the offensive possibilities with your roster as well? I mean, I look at some of these players like Cherry, Anderson, and Gladden are all terrifically skilled offensive players. What is that balance like, where you want to maintain what you've done on defense, but you also want to pursue the offensive side of the ball as well?
You always say that's what separates San Diego State basketball. Most teams, when they run into a bad shooting night, have no chance to win. But we win those nights because our defense will hold us in those games. And with 2 minutes to go, we have a chance to win. We are adding good offensive pieces. But with that being said, we'll run into nights where the ball won't go in, and we will still win those games because of our culture and our defensive emphasis.
Coach Brian Dutcher joining us here on the Schaefer and Sliwa Show. Coach, I know that I think this has been mentioned before. What else are you looking for in the portal? And we've heard that I don't know how much of a play trying to find European players can potentially be a part of the mix at San Diego State University. As much as you want to, obviously share, would love to know just kind of what the vision currently is as you continue to work on that.
We are recruiting the world. Mm-hmm. So we are international right now. I would not be surprised if we add at least one or two pieces internationally to our roster this coming season. Obviously, details to follow. But we are looking everywhere and anywhere to make sure that we stockpile this team with good kids that are good basketball players.
Just to follow up on that real quick, how much different is the international game?
It's different. The way they play it is different, and we're not talking about B-level teams. We're talking about players off A-level teams in Europe that we are talking to, that we are down the road with. So we are trying to add some of those pieces, not only size, but every position on the floor. So with the availability of film, I say film, but you jump online, you can watch full games of a game that's played in Europe the next day. You can watch every shot a guy takes, every play a guy makes on my laptop. So this is not guessing. This is watching guys play full games, watching highlights, watching defense, watching offense. And so international used to be you had to go over to see it firsthand. Now you can see it every detail of international players. And so it makes the job easier. There's no guesswork. Now you make the calls. You see what kind of kids they are. You have to see what their English proficiency is. You know, you can't have a guy over here and then he can't understand coaching. So all of it goes into it. What kind of students are they? What is their language barriers we might run into if we take a certain kid? And so we are recruiting the world, and I think we're doing a good job of it.
It's really fascinating how it all plays out. So, Dutch, yesterday you're part of the Bill Walton Classic announcement out at Helix, opponent to be determined, but it speaks to the overall point of in the Pac-12, you'll have now more non-conference opportunities than you had in the Mountain West. So what is your approach as you begin to put the pieces down of the puzzle for your non-conference for next year?
Well, we haven't been able to announce some of the things we got going on because contracts to follow. But this may be the hardest schedule we've ever played at San Diego State, non-conference wise, if all the pieces fall into place. Obviously, a lot of those games will be at neutral sites, but a neutral site now is Pechanga Arena in our own city. And we've got some other venues, Palm Desert, we may play a game there. Obviously, the Players Air event in Vegas. Obviously, trying to load a good home schedule again that will feature our new conference opponent in Gonzaga. So it's going to be a schedule that people are going to be excited about, but it'll be daunting to put a new team out there to compete with that level of competition. But we've never ducked anybody at San Diego State, and we will play anybody and everybody that wants to play.
Coach, final one from me, and of course, we appreciate your time. You mentioned Gonzaga. Just how exciting is it to have them a part of the conference and get a chance to go up against them on a yearly basis?
It's going to be great. We've had some epic battles with Gonzaga over the years. You know, I think my first year as a head coach, I was able to get a win over the Zags. Obviously, they pay the favor back at times. We snuck in there a couple years ago and got a win in Spokane. Thank goodness the students were gone. It was a Christmas break, but I'll take that anytime. But hopefully we will both continue to remain two of the top teams in the West Coast, and that will mean multiple bids for the new Pac-12.
Dutch, final thing just before you go for me is just the role the community has played during the portal, in the offseason, during the season, whether it's just community involvement, the impact of the Mesa Foundation, some of the levels of giving you've seen from donors. What role has the community played here throughout this process?
It's everything. And like I say, you don't have to like some of the new rules and players getting paid. You have to believe that San Diego State basketball is important to the city of San Diego, that we bring great pride and joy to the city with the kind of kids we bring in. They represent themselves, their families in this university with great class, and we'll continue to do that as long as we are coaching here.
Dutch, we always appreciate the time. Safe travels wherever you're driving to, and we will do it again soon. But thank you for taking time for us as always, Dutch.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, great stuff. Great stuff from Brian Dutcher. We can react to it. We've got Demetrius Sumler talking Aztecs football at 4 p.m. because Chris Johnson could get drafted tonight. We'll hear from Craig Stammen. Are we going to hear from Craig Stammen, Brent? We'll hear from Craig Stammen coming up. Padres, a great come from behind win in Denver to win that series. Don't go anywhere. Full post-game reaction coming up next on Schaefer and Sliwa here on the iHeartRadio app. All right, San Diego Sports 760. Padres win in remarkable come-from-behind fashion, 10-8. Let's hear from Craig Stammen and react. Demetrius Sumler will join us coming up at 4 p.m. San Diego State's defensive coordinator. This is Craig Stammen postgame.
Kept it going, got guys on base. We weren't coming up through with a big hit. Kept feeling like we had a lot of chances during the game. Even though we were down, we felt like we were in the game. And then, all of a sudden, Coors Field shows up in the ninth inning and gives us one today.
Did you feel like you'd been cheated the first couple of games that you hadn't been able to manage a Coors Field game? Or?
Not at all. In fact, the first game was very enjoyable, very calm game. Today, part of it is just kind of let the hitters hit and just see what happens, let the ball bounce around and find holes and stuff like that. But the credit to those guys in the clubhouse for battling, not giving up, taking good at bats no matter what the score is.
What was it like in the dugout the second sheets connected?
Yeah, that was pretty wild. That was, the way the guys spilled out of the dugout, that was reminiscent of a winter ball game, a World Baseball Classic game. It was just cool to see the energy from our guys and just that they were locked in, that, they could come back and believed in it.
You were going to stick with Matt because it's Coors Field and your bullpen and everything. I mean, you didn't have anybody up or anything. What was your kind of thought about we need to get Matt through something?
Yeah, we did. We were, we used a lot of bullpen yesterday. We had enough today to get through it, but we had to get to a certain point. And I just trust Waldy in that situation. And even like after that second inning, he came in and he goes, "Leave me in the game. I'm going to get the job done." And just for a pitcher to say that in Coors Field, it's real easy to be like, "Get me out of here. I don't have my stuff. It's tough to pitch in the altitude." And he said, "No, I got the team. I'm going to pick them up. If anything, I'm going to save the bullpen, but I'm going to keep us in the game." So it was pretty awesome that, he was able to articulate that in the moment and then back it up.
Are there new ways to talk about Miller as he continues to add on?
Yeah, he able to do it in Coors Field. That's not an easy spot to throw a scoreless inning. As you saw, we had a lot of really good pitchers come into games over the last 3 days, and weren't able to come out with a scoreless inning. And almost like giving up one run in Coors is actually a good inning in my mind. And so that's limiting the damage. And he came in a big situation in the ninth and closed it down for us.
Really good insight, specifically on Waldron. Kind of, again, struggled early, but gave him the length necessary, maybe where they could find a way to use the bullpen effectively later.
He gave up 5 in 2.
Yeah.
So gives up the 5 runs in 2 innings. And maybe this is the piece of Stammen that stands out to you. And I don't know. And I'm just going off the top of my head here. He gives insight. Is he giving more insight when he's saying Waldron finds me in the dugout and says, "Leave me in, I got this"?
Yeah.
Is that unique insight that you don't typically get from when we kind of go back to the Mike Schultz stuff?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
I think so. And it's good insight.
That is good insight.
And
it also makes Waldron look good. Like it's a way, as you and I can be very critical about Waldron, to take a piece of Waldron's, afternoon where he gives up 6 runs and say, yeah, but he was ready to kind of take one for the team however he could.
And here's the thing. Stammen is going to be able to relate to a tough day on the mound in Denver, or just in general. He's been there. Kind of listen, by and large, a reliever, obviously, but it doesn't always go the way you hope it goes, but it's a long year. And the value of getting those 3 innings, maybe, like if Waldron only goes an inning and 2/3, because now it's 5 runs in an inning and 2/3 before the final out was recorded. Say they yank him there.
And we're watching the game. I'm like, this guy's not going to give you anything.
Like, he's got to go, right? Yeah. But by trusting in him enough, and then Waldron doing his part, 3 innings, 1 run from there on out, you gave yourself a chance to win. Like, do you win if he goes an inning and 2/3? Maybe. Maybe they do. We'll never know. Or maybe they lose this game 15-10. We'll never know that either. So it's funny how when you spin it, especially off a win, you got to spin it to say Matt Waldron kind of kept you around, gave you at least a chance to turn it over to your bullpen when you're supposed to.
But that's the game within the game, because by Stammen giving us that info, it does make us look at Waldron a little bit different. It does make us not just highlight, hey, Gavin Sheets hits the 3-run homer, and that's all we remember from this game. There's a little bit of, my initial reaction when I heard that, Waldron has not pitched well in 2 straight starts. So I'm not trying to, obviously it's a problem right now without Nick Pivetta, and I don't think Waldron is a solution, and maybe gets another start. We'll see what happens. But I think what I walk away from is in his next start, I'm going to know that Waldron said, This one's on me. Tag it on me. Let me just be the gamer here, and let me take this as long as I possibly can to just save your bullpen, to just, even if we end up losing this game and they were down 8-5 going into the ninth inning, let's say the game ended 8-5. We're still going to come out here and be very critical, but you give me that piece about Waldron, I'm talking about Stammen, then at least I could walk away and be like, all right, well, this guy is thinking about the team. He's thinking about what's in the best interest of the squad. He didn't do his job in the first 2 innings. I wanted a shot to at least see if, can I give you as much as I possibly can to get through the rest of this game? That's obviously great insight, but it allows us to also compliment Waldron in a bad start.
Here's the other thing too. Maybe they do win this game and Waldron goes an inning and 2/3 and they pull him in the second inning, but you've taxed your bullpen where you're impacting what happens next. Now, they're off tomorrow.
Yeah.
But if anyone had to just wear it, so to speak, and throw 3 innings, they're not available in game 1 in Mexico City if they throw 3 innings. But they didn't ask someone to do that. Now, yesterday, they had guys down today because of what happened yesterday with Walker Buehler. He goes 2 2/3. So now you got guys going multiple innings. Kyle Hart's down today. Like, you kind of have to pick up your teammates along the way over 162. Oftentimes, I'll do this. I see it in a vacuum sometimes. You're like, this game, it's not going well, or it is going well. Why did they make this move or not make this move? But it's all, when you take the step back, it's all like in the greater scheme or scope. They're all tied together. What happened yesterday is tied to today. And what happened today is tied into their next game as well.
I'm watching the game, and it's a unique game because of obviously the circumstances. It's a basically a noon start, and he's still in the 5th. And I think he gives up that one additional run.
Yeah.
I'll double check this, but I think he gives up that one additional run.
In the 5th, you're saying?
Or maybe it was in the 4th. Wait, I think it was in the 4th. And in my head, I'm like, yeah, why is he still in the game? Like, you're almost like, this is, and the game is just close enough, and you're in Colorado, and you're saying to yourself, are you trying to win this game? Or are you not? You know, Colorado's going to give you an advantage, but they had a game earlier in this series where the bats didn't go, but Randy Vasquez carried the load, and Jason Adam to Mason Miller, and pitching won that game. Then they had a game today that's completely opposite. The pitching staff was not reliable at all. By the way, there were some, Maury Hone gave up a solo shot. Yeah. So there's a number of pitchers that gave up runs today, and then it's the bats that picked you up. Kind of goes back to what you and I were talking about a little bit earlier. The only shot the Padres genuinely have is to do things collectively. Collectively, so far this season, is how they're 17-8 to start the year. Collectively is how they've got off to a start, where you can look at the National League standings and say, this is one of the best records in all of Major League Baseball. They've done it collectively. This series, you can say, in the 2 or 3 wins that they got against the Rockies, was done collectively.
Yeah, it's not always about star power helps, but I mean, money helps. But look at the Mets, look at the Phillies, and look at the Padres right now at 17-8. We'll switch gears. Demetrius Sumler, Aztecs first-year defensive coordinator, will join us on the other side. Chris Johnson, outstanding standout cornerback for the Aztecs, could go in the first round. Sumler coached him for each of the last 4 years. We'll get his perspective on Chris Johnson and much more on the other side. Back to the Padres as well in the 4 o'clock hour here on Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app. Denver, but we're also 1 hour out from round one of the NFL draft. And we've got San Diego State's first-year defensive coordinator, Demetrius Sumler, with us right now on San Diego Sports 760, home of the Aztecs. Of course, Coach Sumler, long time on the Aztec staff. In fact, has coached Chris Johnson for each of his 4 years on the Mesas. So, Coach, appreciate you taking time for us. And we wanted to talk, obviously, about spring football and your roster right now, but, of course, about Chris and the other players that are available to be drafted. So, what is this like for you right now? You coached him from the time he was a freshman, and you've seen this through. What's it like from your seat to see what's played out with Chris and what's in front of him over the next, couple of hours potentially?
Yeah, it's awesome for me, man. I'm just so proud of the kid. He was a joy to coach his entire time here. Really did everything we asked. Very humble kid, and just steadily got better every year. So to see his hard work pay off, probably one of the most rewarding parts of doing this job.
Demetrius, just kind of sticking with that, from his time as a freshman to by the time we sit here and in an hour or so, the NFL draft is going to start. How did he change, or how did he evolve? And this doesn't even have to be on the football field, but how did he mature? What are some of the things that you saw for him that through the program and through San Diego State became a different person and now is about to get drafted?
Yeah, to be honest, I don't think he became a different person. I just think his consistency paid off over time. You know what I mean? Like Coach Lewis and here with our program, we talk about being consistently good, not occasionally great. Chris was a kid that came in as a freshman, and he made freshman mistakes and, had some issues and, never anything off the field, but, would blow a coverage or would mess up a call. But he just kept getting better and kind of stuck to the process. And he just consistently did his job at a high level. And like I said, whatever you ask him to do, Chris, you got to gain weight. Chris, you got to tackle better. Chris, you got to have better eyes. You got to play with better pad level. Whatever we asked him to do, he just kind of consistently worked on those things to the point where now, he didn't really have many weaknesses in his game as a senior. So I really just, it's really just a praise to his consistency of working and trusting the process and just getting better day in and day out.
Having watched him as much as you have over the last 4 years, and this is hard because obviously you're coaching at college, you're not asked, you're not one of these 32 NFL teams, and you're not obviously coaching, him moving forward. But how do you think the game translates? Because obviously college football is different than the National Football League. What is it about Chris, the skills he possesses, that scouts are so enamored with when he transitions from Saturdays to Sundays?
Yeah, I mean, he has a great skill set, man. The kid can run. That was a big question going into this draft process: was can he run? And again, 2 years ago, I told him, I said, Chris, you can play on Sundays. You just got to get faster. And with Coach Sobel and our off-season training, like he really focused on all of our conditioning and speed training, and he got faster. He's willing to tackle, which a lot of DBs aren't willing to do. And he's a very smart player. So he sees things. DB is a very reactionary position if you don't know what's coming. And so he's such a smart player, and he watches film, so he's not always playing reactionary. Sometimes he's anticipating things, and he knows what's coming. But the first thing I talked about, just comes back to his consistency, man. I know when he gets to the NFL, no matter what scheme or what team, like he's going to be consistent. He's going to be the same guy. He's going to work at it, so he's going to be just fine wherever he goes.
Demetrius, final one on this specific topic. Obviously, Chris Johnson getting at some point, and we'll find out where he gets drafted. NFL draft starting in about an hour or so. We talked to Chris Johnson a little bit earlier in the week, and I love one of the things I love that he said to us was how proud he was to be at San Diego State for 4 years, and kind of trying to send a message, whether directly or indirectly, that you can be an Aztec and get drafted into the NFL wherever he ends up. What's it mean to the program, just short term, long term? You guys are out there talking to some different potential student athletes, and just what does it mean that in the next hour or 2 hours or whenever he eventually gets drafted, whether it's the first day or the second day, what's it mean for the program? How can you guys take that and convey that message to student athletes out there that you don't got to go anywhere? If you're in Southern California, you can be successful with San Diego State and still give yourself a shot at making the NFL.
Absolutely. It means everything. Right, it means everything. And like a huge part of the reason Chris Johnson came here was because we had Darren Hall before him, who's kind of from the same area. And he knew about Darren Hall. They worked out with the same coach. And so he saw D. Hall make it from that same community, come to San Diego State, have success. And Darren Hall came to San Diego State because he saw DeMonte Casey who's also from the same area, come here and have success. So it means a ton where kids can, they can see, hey, I can go to San Diego State. I can be developed. I can win football games. I can live in San Diego. And I can still go play in the NFL from there. So it means a ton to us. And that just, again, it just goes to the character of that kid. Because in this new climate of college football, I mean, every school was coming after him last year. He was offered a lot more money to go to other schools, but he trusted San Diego State. He enjoyed San Diego State. He wanted to be here. And it's just really a testament to him and the kind of person he is. And hopefully an example for kids moving forward where it's, hey, if that's really your ultimate goal, like we have a blueprint, it can be done here. Let's stay here and get it done here.
It's amazing just looking back, and you know it better than I, and you reference some of the defensive backs, but there's such a pedigree, isn't there, in the secondary with guys getting opportunities and then sticking it in the NFL. What can you say about that? What is it about your defense in this program? Obviously, it used to be the 3-3-5 with Brady and Rocky, the success you had last year and the last couple of years with the 4-2-5. What is it specifically about the secondary that's producing guys at the next level?
Yeah, I mean, there's a standard that was set, before I was even here, with Coach Rocky Long and with Coach Tony White. And when I got here as a young coach, I saw what that standard was really early. And when I got the opportunity to coach the secondary, my job was to make sure that standard didn't fall off at all. So that's we preach that, we coach to that, we recruit to that. There's a certain standard of play you have to play Aztec defense, play Aztec football, but particularly Aztec defense and Aztec secondary, there's a standard you have to play to. And those guys are all really close, even the former players. Darren Hall was at our scrimmage last Saturday in the stadium, and talking to our players and talking a little bit of trash to them and getting them going. And hey, that wasn't good enough, and so those guys it's a brotherhood when you play DB at San Diego State, and those guys are going to hold you to that standard, and that's something we try to preach to those guys, and they buy into it.
Demetrius, with yourself, the entire coaching staff, obviously Sean Lewis, as you look at these next couple of years, what's the vision there at San Diego State? I mean, obviously you guys have done a phenomenal job. Last year was a great season for San Diego State football. We just were talking to Brian Dutcher at about a half hour ago, and we know where that basketball program has been. What's if you can envision and some of your hopes and your dreams of what you'd like to see, where you'd like to see Aztec football, what is some of that vision over these next couple of years?
Yeah, I mean, our vision is to win a Pac-12 championship and go compete in the college football playoff. And not just get to the playoff, go win games in the playoff. We got more than enough talent here. We got more than enough resources. We get great kids. We're talent rich in the area, and it can be done here. So that's our goal. We're setting the bar high. Why not us is how we look at it, right? Like we didn't come to San Diego State. We're not here just to participate. We want it all. So. And obviously we got good enough players with Chris, about to get drafted where he's going to get drafted. We've had other guys go pretty high in the draft before. So we can get enough talent. We got great coaches. We get great support. So our goal is to take this program to the mountaintop.
I'm going to give one quick follow-up on that. What should Snapdragon Stadium look like as you guys continue with that vision? Because clearly you want the city of San Diego not only having the same vision, but supporting a quality university like San Diego State has been certainly last year. What's your vision of what Snapdragon could look like?
Yeah, Snapdragon. We got to get Snapdragon sold out. Our kids are working hard. We're putting a great product out there on the field. We're playing great defense. We're throwing the ball around and we're scoring points. Obviously, we got a lot of hometown kids with Lucky Sutton running the ball. We got hometown kids. We're an exciting team to watch. We need San Diego fans and locals behind us, which will help us, right? We get in these recruiting battles, and they come to a San Diego State game. It's got to look like when they go to a UCLA or a USC game. It's got to have that same feel. And if we're able to build that and do that, like I said, where else would you want to live and play football other than San Diego? So we need the community behind us so we can get that thing going.
Demetrius Sumler with us right now, Aztecs' first-year defensive coordinator, but a long time on the staff at SDSU. I wanted to ask you also about Bryce Phillips, because there's been all this attention, and rightfully so, obviously, on Chris Johnson, who could go in the first round. Bryce Phillips is a terrific corner as well. He has an opportunity, right, to hear his name called potentially at some point over the next 3 days?
Yeah, we've gotten a lot of calls about Bryce Phillips. He did a great job this year. Obviously, Chris was exceptional, so he got overshadowed a little bit. But Bryce is a great talent, man. He's physical. He works extremely hard. He really held his own out there in the secondary, and he deserves it also. So I don't want to leave Bryce behind because Bryce played extremely well. And if Chris wasn't on the other side of him, Bryce would be getting a whole lot more attention also. Right. So he did a great job for us. I'm excited to see what happens for his future.
Final question in general, as we transition to your defense and the football team heading into 2026, obviously spring football well underway. The spring game a week from Saturday, you can get there on the Mesa at the practice fields. What's it been like, the transition here, not just to DC, but all the changes which are just inherent now in college football. But I think about guys like Bryce Phillips and Chris Johnson, and obviously Aztec fans know about Trey White and Owen Chambliss, and there are other standout players on that defense. What's the process been like to change over your defense from last year to this year?
Yeah, it's been awesome, man. It's something that we have to embrace. We don't run from it. That's what college football is now. So you got to embrace it. We brought really talented players in here. We brought great high school players in here, and we got a good core of players returning to us. So we've been building it, and it starts with the bond and the brotherhood between the players. So really diving in to getting them to know each other and spending time together and really knowing each other on a deeper level. So they're playing together, and then they're going out there and competing through spring ball, and it's getting physical. It's getting chippy at times. That kind of shows that competitive spirit, but it's been fun. That's what we signed up for as coaches, right? If they could do it themselves, they wouldn't need us coaches, right? So that's our job, is to develop, to be hard on them, to love them up, and really kind of cultivate a culture where they can thrive. So it's been exciting. We brought a lot of new talent in here, and we've got a lot of talent that was here that's really developing and ready to take the next step.
Coach, we appreciate you taking time for us. We're hopeful on tonight. You kind of never know with the draft. It's obviously outside of everyone's hands, but we're hopeful for Chris Johnson and what it means for San Diego State as well tonight. But we appreciate you taking time for us, and we'll see you next weekend on the Mesa for the spring game.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you guys having me.
Thank you, man. Thank you for coming on.
Really good stuff. Demetrius Sumler, by the way, standout running back out of San Diego County that played at Colorado.
That's right.
That has now been here for the last 10 years. And he's been a great defensive coach, even though he was a standout, again, tailback.
By the way, one of my favorite things is when we got local people. And he's a great example of that. Yeah. He mentioned Lucky Sutton as well. I think that's so important because the talent just in San Diego, and you can look at it from a coaching perspective, or guys that played and then decided, hey, they want to now represent San Diego, players that were standouts in high school football in San Diego and say, I want to represent San Diego State. We get enough of those in this city. I mean, you really could. And you heard what his goal is. Win that Pac-12, find yourself representing Pac-12 in a playoff game. Lofty goals, but damn, I love it. And imagine how San Diego would look like if San Diego State football had that type of pool.
It would be unbelievable. And again, we'll see if Chris Johnson hears his name called tonight in the NFL draft round 1. We'll get to the wrap coming up later this hour. Let's get back to the Padres. Again, we heard from Craig Stammen. We'll react to this come from behind win. A great win in Denver. 5 of the 9th for a 10-8 win. That and more still ahead on Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, San Diego Sports 760. We will get to the wrap coming up in 10 minutes. Schaefer and Sliwa. Feels like a busy start to the afternoon, Alan.
You want a compliment?
It depends what it is. Yeah, typically I would take a compliment.
Your guest today, killing it.
Yeah, but there are guests.
Yeah, but
There
you
are
set them
guests.
up. So it's
There
like
are.
I
I'm
showed
not
up.
taking credit.
I showed up to a, let's say we had people come over. Let's say we're hosting something and I didn't do anything. I just showed up and like the food's already laid out and people are having drinks over there and they're coming to me like, hey, thanks, Al. I'm like, I honestly didn't
I had
do
nothing to do with it.
Had nothing to do with
No,
it.
but that's, yeah, but still.
Solid guest. That's
Still.
all I'm saying.
Here's the thing.
Phenomenal
I'll
guest.
give you an
As
example.
San Diego as it gets, I loved it. That was great.
Give me the third best Laker with Luka and Austin Reeves out with LeBron on the floor right now.
Marcus Smart, Luke Kennard.
Marcus Smart.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? It's a team. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's not
Yeah.
like it's a team. So they're doing
Now
it
you're getting
collectively.
cocky. Now you just labeled yourself LeBron. Okay. And then basically you're like, what other role players that I have? Get out of here, bro.
No, but
I'm done with a compliment for you.
That's
This guy
that's not what I was trying
This
to do.
guy's like, I'm Wemby.
No, that's not what I was
And-
trying to do. What I was trying to say is that we're a team. That is actually really funny. Stop complimenting me. That's the problem.
That was good.
That's the problem.
Those are the best. The people that like they don't know how to take compliments. There's a
I'm
lot of
not
people
good
like
with
that. No, there's a lot of people like that. They just don't know how to take compliments.
Holy moly.
No, that was a fun that hour almost and a half flew by. We had the Padres. You and I were prepared to come on here and give heat to Tatis and Machado, and the Padres come back from an 8-5 deficit. They win it 10-8, and then we had obviously Dutch on and just continue to go from there.
And now, again, from the Padres' perspective, we said this earlier, 17-8. They come from behind and win 10-8. They score 5 runs in the 9th inning. Are they tied right now with the Dodgers?
I'll tell you where they are. So go look at all of baseball. Now, listen, I know there's a lot of teams within a couple of games. Atlanta is 18-8. The Braves are 18-8, which they're already dangerous. They're 18-8. The Padres and the Dodgers both tied at 17-8. You got the Padres above. That might just be, I don't know if the divisional thing, whatever it is. Anyways, both squads at 17-8. And then you could start looking at, wow, how crazy is this? 5 of the top records in all of baseball
The NL, right?
are all the NL.
Yeah.
And I think 7 of 8 of 9. Oh my gosh.
Here's what I would say about that. It is still early
Of
that
course.
I wouldn't expect
and it's
that.
it's not a lot of, variance, but still that's says something right there.
I mean, again, a year ago, 14-3 start. This year, 17-8 start. This is a formula that is tried and true. Start fast in the expanded playoff. You feel good about your chances. The opposite of that conversation that you and I maybe briefly touched on even today. The New York Mets are 8-16 and had a 12-game losing streak.
The Philadelphia Phillies
are 8-17. And you may say, to your point, like, hey, it's or my point even. Too,
Phillies
like,
have lost 9 in a row.
and it is early, and that's 25 out of 162. But all of a sudden, that becomes real. Like, you've dug this hole. Can you dig out of it? Yes. There was a Nationals team that won the World Series that started 19-31.
Who was it last year? That was it the Guardians that came back the division for against the Detroit Tigers? I think came back all the way at the end. Now Detroit ended up beating them in the postseason.
Yeah, didn't Detroit like have a 10 or 12 game losing streak late in the year?
But they had that type of the lead in the division was absurd.
It was absurd. It was absurd. A long way of saying you'd much prefer starting 17-8 than 8-17. You could, by the way, out of the Mets and the Phillies, could someone make the playoffs? Yeah, it's possible. I don't know if I love their chances right now.
Padres have a 9-game lead on the Phillies,
which is ridiculous.
And we're not a month into the season.
But again, to your point, it is early, and there's a lot of good teams in the National League. You're going to get a test this weekend. Arizona, we haven't seen. They're 14-11 overall.
I'll just say this about the fast start. And if somebody wants to say, if you want to look at this if you want to make excuses of the Padres 17-8, you want to say, you know what, it's early in the season, it doesn't matter. Or if you want to say, well, look who they've played and competitively who they've gone up against is not the best in baseball. Put the Rockies in there, even some teams early on, but San Francisco. I don't know where Detroit is, but I thought at one point they weren't playing all that well either. Maybe that's changed around, but the Red Sox is a good example. Actually, no, the Tigers are playing better. Here's what I would say to all that. You can't determine who's on your schedule. And the bigger a lead that you can get and as many games of a cushion you can give yourself, because you're going to go through stretches in baseball where you lose 5 in a row, and you're going to go through stretches where you lose 7 of 10, and you're going to go through stretches where you lose 3 series in a row.
Right.
That's all going to happen. The San Diego Padres they're not some dominating franchise where it's like, well, whether we win this game or not, it doesn't mean anything. All these games do matter for the Padres. The last season, as much as the cushion that they had, they also lost a lot of that cushion, which is why they didn't have home field against the Cubs, which is why they were out in that wild card. So whether you're winning a bulk of your games early on or you're winning them late, I'd rather be 9 games over 500 right now and start kind of mapping out, hey, if they went 500 from this point on, where does that put them? At least they're giving themselves a little bit of cushion.
Yeah, and again, with a first-year manager, that they went 2-5 and the sky was falling. Imagine 8-17. Like Philadelphia and New York.
We were going to rip them today for losing to the Rockies.
Right, and they would have been, if they lost today, they would have been 16-9. But they're 17-8 because they came back to win. All right, we'll get to the wrap coming up. The NFL draft will get underway in about 35 minutes or so. Will San Diego State's Chris Johnson hear his name called tonight? We are here until 6 p.m., but we'll get to the wrap coming up next. Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, hey guys, it is Schaefer again for the all-new Jamul Casino Resort, the Players Place, and we've been telling you about their hotel and spa. You can experience just a great spot with their elevated luxury with a refined hotel stay. They've got rooftop relaxation for you, indulgent spa treatments, all the excitement of Jamul Casino Resort seamlessly brought together in one unforgettable destination. It really is. You can take your stay to the next level with exclusive hotel packages. They're crafted for the ultimate escape. You'll love their dining options, including Tony Gwynn's with endless dining. Enjoy San Diego's favorite endless dining experience. That's Wednesday through Sunday at Tony Gwynn Sports Pub. In addition to that, you'll love Jamul 23 with their lobster buffet every day. You can enjoy all-you-can-eat lobster every day, plus dozens of other delicious stations. Start your morning with their new signature breakfast buffet, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 10:30, featuring made-to-order omelets, fresh fruit, and sweet and savory favorites at the all-new Jamul Casino Resort, the Players Place.
This report is sponsored by Anderson Plumbing, Heating, and Air. The Padres beat the Rockies today in Denver to win the series 2-1, and they had an epic comeback in the ninth inning, led by a Gavin Sheets 3-run homer in the ninth, and then Mason Miller came in to close it down, picking up his ninth save. The NFL draft is about 30 minutes or so away from technically getting underway. The Raiders have the first pick. They should make it about 5:15-ish. The Thunder's forward Jalen Williams, he's listed as week to week with a grade 1 left hamstring strain, and he will miss at least game 3 and 4 of the team series. And speaking of the NBA playoffs right now, let's see here. With about 4 minutes to go in the first quarter, the Hawks are up on the Knicks 17-9. At 5 o'clock, we got Cleveland taking on Toronto, and at 6:30, we got Timberwolves and Denver. Choosing the right home service company isn't just about fixing what's broken. It's about trusting who's in your home. That's why homeowners count on Anderson for friendly professional service that keeps everything running right. Visit AndersonPHA.com.
San Diego Sports 760.
Oh,
Let me see this. What do we got on this sheet? How about this? San Diego Sports 760 has 9 chances for you to win $1,000.
come on.
Every weekday, it's the Bonus Bucks contest. Listen every hour, 9 through 5. That's right now. Listen for the keyword that entered at sportssd.com. Next chance to win $1,000 coming up soon around 5 p.m. on San Diego Sports 760. What do you think of that scene in Pittsburgh this evening for the draft? It's right by the ballpark. It's right by
Very cool.
the football stadium.
Yeah, I love all this. I mean, it all looks phenomenal. I mean, part of that also looks like college game day.
Yeah.
Every time
absolutely.
you go to those stadiums and the crowd and the atmosphere in front. I mean, you and I talked a little bit about this earlier, and maybe people are sick of this conversation. For me, it's only round 1 of getting a chance to be in San Diego and kind of reference some of this stuff. But you're telling me that something like this couldn't have been just incredible in San Diego? You tell me that they wouldn't want to do
great.
NFL drafts in SD?
I heard parking lot.
So every time I start looking at some of this stuff, and I'd love to be just incredibly excited about the draft because the Chargers are going to pick this player or that player. Obviously, that's gone. I don't have that emotion anymore. But the concept of the event and taking it to different cities is such a great idea. I think it was yesterday we were talking about, should the NBA do something? Of course they should. Like I think all these sports to be able to, even if I don't even think it's crazy to do something like that. You can even pick different cities. You can go international. It doesn't even have to be cities that host or that house a team. The NFL obviously does it right. That's an incredible scene right there.
Yeah, I would be surprised.
That's really, really
It's
nice.
really cool. I would be surprised if the NFL brought the draft to San Diego.
No, I don't want it in San Diego.
Anytime, it's not coming to San Diego.
I'm talking about in general.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I mean, it's amazing what they have done with the draft. People will fly 3,000 miles to hear someone's name called on a card. Like that's not everyone from Pittsburgh. You got people from like Wisconsin, and Los Angeles and Seattle that have made their way for Pittsburgh for this event. All right, we'll have you covered when it gets underway. But right now, let's get to this.
It's time for the wrap. Presented by Sombrero Mexican Food. Check out their website at sombreromex.com.
Will Fernando Mendoza be a franchise quarterback in the NFL?
All right, a franchise quarterback. Do we know? And we don't have to answer this, but I'm just quarterbacks that go number 1. Is there like a percentage of?
Great question.
Hey, this guy ended up being a franchise quarterback, or this guy just ended up being a journeyman in the NFL. I don't have the answer, and I know we don't have it. I'll just speak for Mendoza. I'm going to say yes. Now, I know he's at a disadvantage because of the franchise that's about to draft him, but man, he did something in college football. Indiana, the Hoosiers won a national championship. I got a chance. I went to the game. I went to the game at the Rose Bowl. Indiana versus who they play in that first game? Oh, Alabama. Was it Alabama? Smoked them. I'm going to say yes. He will become a franchise quarterback and have success.
By the way, there have been some unbelievable top overall quarterbacks. Number 1, but there's also been Jamarcus Russell and Tim Couch,
So I'm saying,
David Carr,
like,
and Sam Bradford.
That's what I'm
Right?
saying. That
Number one
you're
overall.
not guaranteed even if you have the number one overall pick.
What do you got, Brian?
According to Google AI, approximately 25 to 30% of quarterbacks drafted number one overall since the modern era, since 1970, are widely considered busts or significant
All
disappointments.
right, so 1 and 4, 1 and 3 are busts or significant
Say
disappointments.
Mendoza is going to be on the other side of that.
I think he'll be good. I think he'll be a long-time starter in the NFL.
Okay.
I don't know if he's going to win Super Bowls. I think he'll be a long-time starter in the NFL. Next question.
Are you more concerned about Manny Machado or Fernando Tatis Jr.?
I think Tatis for me. Tatis is the one I worry more about. Now, listen, Tatis can struggle with his bat, but he could be a great right fielder. He can find ways to walk and grab some singles. I still feel like Machado will, when the dust settles, he'll get his fair share of home runs. He'll be close to 85 RBI, something along those lines. The Tatis, because I feel like Tatis, there's also a mental aspect that I think affects him more than Machado does. I say Tatis.
I think Brent made the point off air that if Toddy doesn't homer this weekend in Mexico City, he doubts. It's hard to imagine him hitting more than 15 home runs this year. I tend to want to agree, as crazy as that sounds. That can change quick. You could all of a sudden hit 3 in 5 games, and that could add up
What did
quick.
he hit last year? 25, 24?
Yeah, I think 24.
And that's with droughts.
80-game drought was in there where he hit like 2 or 3.
Which is a little encouraging.
I tend to
If I'm
agree with
being
Brent,
honest.
though. I think if we get through this weekend, I'm taking the under on 20. I'll tell you that right now. If I see no home runs this weekend, I'm taking the under on 20, absolutely.
So more concerned about Tatis?
Yeah. I just think it's so mental with him. Where is that player I saw 7 years ago?
By the way, that's not a great sign. If you're saying, where's that player I
It's a
saw
long time.
7 years ago?
Yeah.
There's a much stronger chance you're never seeing that player than he's
7
coming
years is a
back.
long time. Yeah. 5 years, 2021. Next question.
He might still be in there somewhere. Which draft is more compelling?
Moments. The question is, can he be there sustained?
Right.
Which draft is more compelling? The NBA or the NFL?
I'm not the right guy to ask about this because I'm probably going to lean NBA on this one, and maybe I have a. Again, it's because I've covered the league for so long, and to me, the NBA does such a phenomenal job with things outside of the game. The draft is good. Free agency is amazing. The NBA trade deadline is awesome. The NBA can't compete with anything the NFL does. I know they can't, but damn it, if there are a couple things that are like social trending and things like when Shams puts out a tweet, something along those lines, Woj back in the day dropping those Woj bombs. I think the NBA draft for me, and I completely get it if everybody's saying you're on your own on this one. I'm NFL.
I like NBA. My only knock on NBA. Here's why I like it. You do the whole thing in one enchilada. Like one night. I got it all. All right, 60 picks. I don't need 600 picks. But the thing where the NBA will lose me a lot is I cannot follow the trades and the picks. So like from Cleveland through Brooklyn through Boston for OKC's protected third round. I'm like, stop. It's way too much. It's gotten very complicated.
Yeah, you got to dumb it down because for a lot of us, the audience, we just need, where's he going?
Yeah, I hate when they put on the caps. We'll still have
knowing that they're getting traded.
Hey, here's this Mendoza in one half, but he's getting traded. So it's a little complicated for me, but I like the NBA because it happens all in one night.
Is it weird that I like the NBA draft lottery more than the actual draft?
Oh, the lottery's great.
You
I
mean
love
the ping pong ball?
Yeah, that's my favorite part.
Last year, you had Dallas and San Antonio get 1 and 2.
Good theater.
Everybody knew that was the fix was in.
Have we done that again yet? Or they got to fix tanking? We haven't done the lottery. That happens in the playoffs,
yeah,
right?
It's a couple weeks, I think.
It will happen, I think, right before. Oh, yeah, no, a couple weeks. They'll have the order.
Yeah,
it will happen in May.
I'm ready for that. Next question.
Does the NBA have an officiating problem?
Oh.
Okay, so this is stemming from, if you didn't get a chance to watch this yesterday, we'll actually play some of this clip a little bit later, or we'll play it next year. Devin Booker not only went at the referees, he decided, I'm going to name one of the referees. I don't know if they have an officiating problem, but I think they have a league issue. Here's the league issue. There's certain styles of play that a lot of people do not like in the NBA, yet the NBA still allows it. Let me give you an example. Is it the referee's fault that they're calling a Shea Gilgeous or a Luka foul when clearly they're the ones initiating the contact,
Right.
or the flopping or something along those lines. Because if the NBA wanted to stop that, all they have to do is just go to the officials and say, we don't want you calling those anymore. And then the referees will stop calling those. The problem, I think, is the league allows things that it's something I genuinely don't understand. The things people get frustrated the most with the NBA, they allow. And I think they're clean, clear fixes. I think you can fix some of this stuff. So I don't think they have an officiating problem. I think the NBA has their own league problems, and officiating is one of them.
I agree with that. And the thing with Devin Booker, I think two things can be true. I think he has a point, and you'll hear it on the other side what he had to say. He was running out of bounds and threw a basketball back into the court of play and was teed up for it as if he threw it at an opponent. But here's the thing. I think what Devin Booker was saying yesterday and calling out the official, I don't think officiating is the reason why Phoenix is down 0-2. I really don't. I watched that entire game. They were not done in by the officials. They trailed by 28 at one point in the fourth. They made a game of it. They got it to 10 with 5 minutes to play. They trailed by 28. I watched the game. The officials had nothing to do with it. They were thoroughly outplayed. The fact that they pulled to within 10 at one point and kind of made a game of it, credit to them.
It's probably a big picture thing he's referring to.
I get Devin Williams being upset, and I think he's upset. I get that the situation probably wasn't properly officiated. Okay, and he takes exception to it. I understand it. And I don't know if he was saying we were done in by officiating, but I think it was implied actually last night by the Suns that the officiating needs to be better in this. But I didn't think that was the difference last night.
Well,
We'll hear from him on the other
let's
side.
hear it, and then, or when we come back, we could play it, and we'll take a chance to listen, because I think there's some angles to what he said, and there's also some updates on what we could talk a little NBA for a quick second. The Jalen Williams stuff, Austin Reeves. There's a few things around the NBA we could do as well.
We'll get into it on the other side. NFL draft gets underway just after 5 p.m. Will Chris Johnson, the Aztec, hear his name called tonight? Plus, the Padres win a series in Denver. This is Schaefer and Sliwa on San Diego Sports 760. We're live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, San Diego Sports 760, Schaefer and Sliwa hanging out on this Thursday afternoon. Get back to the Padres, but tons of stuff playing out right now in the NBA, whether it was what Devin Booker had to say last night about officiating, health updates. Jalen Williams out. Could impact the Lakers even.
Yeah, he's got a
grade 1.
Grade 1. But this is the third time the guy has injured his hamstring this year. I think that could be one of those things where it's like, if it happens during the season, the chances of it not happen again. Who else is on it? Aaron Gordon's had this issue with Denver.
Right.
Luka obviously is dealing with it right now. I don't know if you saw that. I'll get into Jalen Williams in 2 seconds, but just something from a Laker front. Lakers got the Rockets coming up tomorrow. Early start, by the way, kind of random, 5 o'clock tip-off tomorrow. Austin Reeves listed as questionable for tomorrow. So Lakers already up 2-0 in the series, and the Rockets look like they're falling apart. I don't know what their head coach is doing. I have confidence that I might be able to coach based off watching Ime Udoka in this series. But Austin Reeves listed as questionable, so the Lakers kind of an interesting spot. The Jalen Williams front, if Lakers win this series, they would get the Oklahoma City Thunder in the second round. And to be completely frank with you, the Thunder are so deep and they're so good that the Lakers could have everybody available and the Thunder could be without Jalen Williams, and you're not guaranteed to beat the Oklahoma City Thunder. That's how stacked they are. That's how good they are. But if they're going to win an NBA championship and everybody is thinking that the Oklahoma City Thunder are going to win an NBA championship, you got to have Jalen Williams. I think you got to have Jalen Williams potentially against Denver. I think you potentially have to have Jalen Williams if you play the San Antonio Spurs. I know you have to have Jalen Williams if you're going to play the Boston Celtics. So that's not a small thing. Now, I know it's week to week. It's a grade 1 strain. So does that mean he's not going to play in the second round? No, probably means he'll be available for the second round, but that's not insignificant. So a couple things that we obviously had come out of the NBA.
He's like one of the top players in the sport. He missed a lot of time this year. He's still like a top 12 player in the sport, having missed as much.
But you know what it is? It's the fact that they're still so dumb. They played 30. This is why when you and I would have the Shea MVP conversation, and I would tell you that, yeah, but if you took Shea out, they're still going to win games. They're not going to win a championship. They're still going to win a lot of games. Where would the Spurs be without Wemby? Or where would, you pick
Lakers
whichever
be right now without LeBron? Well, again, I mean, LeBron has obviously picked up the slack for Austin Reeves and Luka Doncic. Let's hear what Devin Booker said. This is very atypical, obviously, to go after an individual official. It's almost unheard of. This was Devin Booker post-game with the Suns, who are down 0-2 right now to the Thunder.
I heard Caruso tell him to call the tech, and, he ended up doing it. So that's one ref. In my 11 years, I haven't called a ref out by name, but James was terrible tonight, through and through. It's bad for the sport, bad for the integrity of the sport. People are going to start viewing this as a WWE, if they're not held responsible.
Wow.
By the way, when you say it's WWE, scripted, you're basically saying that, this ain't real.
Yeah, but that's why I said earlier. I don't think that's right. I watched this game.
Mm-hmm.
This didn't feel like a scripted event to me. It felt like he's mad about something that he might be rightfully mad about, but they didn't lose because of James Williams, the official, who he called by his first name. In my opinion, maybe he disagrees. He plays for the Phoenix Suns. I don't. I don't think that was the difference between winning and losing, the officiating last night.
Yeah, and they're not winning. They're not beating the Thunder. No. I think his issue is the big issue. And we were talking about this conversation about the league a little bit earlier, and I watched the Caruso play and just kind of watched it all play out. Devin Booker's frustration, I think, is more. There's probably something a little bit bigger there. I think I've heard players say this in the past as well. The way the game is played today and the way the game is officiated today, it takes away from the NBA. Hurts itself with its own kind of, I don't even know how, they're not properly protecting their own league. When I was part of the Lakers radio broadcast, there was something that was so frustrating, still frustrating today. You watch right now in baseball, how quick are these, when they're challenging a pitcher, and it's literally takes 5-7 seconds and you move back on. The NBA had this there's 2 minutes, 3 minutes goes by and nobody still knows what's going on. Imagine you're watching a movie and like in the middle of the movie, you're an hour in, all of a sudden the lights come on. It's like, hey guys, we just need 2-3 minutes. Like, why I'm trying. The whole thing is about entertainment. I'm watching a movie. Do not distract me here.
That happens to me on Netflix with the lower pay rate. You know what I'm saying? Because I have the ads just come in for like 95 seconds.
Can you do it?
No, it's really annoying.
Yeah, I think we're part of my investment. I pay now. I'm like, here, just take the damn money.
Annoying. Yeah.
I can't do it with the ads. But the NBA, this is NBA. NBA last 5 minutes of a game. How many stoppages do you have? The league has these weird quirks to it. But if you got an NBA player, and Devin Booker is not nobody. He's not the best player, but he's an all-star.
Right.
If he's saying he's making a WWE comp, I think it has less to do with the actual game yesterday. He's probably just frustrated. He knows their season's going to end against the Oklahoma City Thunder. You don't want your own players going at the league like that.
No, you don't. I mean, and they've had an issue with this. Their credibility has been questioned often, obviously. But I would say this.
Started the season with the betting scandal.
Exactly. There's been the Donaghy thing with the official. I mean, they've had some things.
Luka getting traded. Dallas getting the number one pick and Eddie Cooper flag.
And that's obviously off court. That's less on floor. But I'll say this: basketball is a very hard game to officiate. Everything you're saying about the NBA is everything every Aztec fan says to me every night. Everything you're saying about the NBA, every Aztec fan tells me
about college basketball.
Officiating is not consistent.
College awful. But can I tell you, college is the worst.
They stop the game for 5 minutes to look at something.
College is the worst.
That's what I'm saying. So, but I actually think it's
ticky-tack fouls.
I think the sport, because baseball, there's nothing overly subjective. They've taken balls and strikes away from umpires. So, like every single basketball play, I've heard Brian Dutcher say, it's like everything can be
an opinion.
Everything.
Yes.
Every single play has contact. Contact is inherent in the sport. So it's just a different game to call.
But here's why it could change. Stylistically, if you got players, here's what people don't want. They don't want, hey, this guy is forcing a foul, and it's not even a basketball play. He's just trying to draw a foul. Doesn't even care if the shot goes in because the shot has nothing to do with it. He's just trying to get to the free throw line.
Right.
There's certain aspects of the game that you can change that they haven't. That I think that are kind of blatantly obvious that the fans are telling you, there's a way to fix this, and they haven't fixed that.
But even last night, I'm reading the article about Devin Booker and officiating and how, for example, they referenced at ESPN.com. Well, Shea went to the line last night 9 times. I'm like, and? Is that supposed to be a big number or something? He was 9 for 9 from the line. That's basketball. The best players in the sport that possess the ball the most, that get downhill. You know it better than I do.
That was an unnecessary piece in that article.
I thought.
The 9 for 9. Now, if you told me he went to the line 16 times,
I agree.
It's a lot.
I just feel like, you tell me, how many times does LeBron James typically get to a free throw line? Or Luka Doncic?
It's more Luka.
Luka. Does Luka average 9 free throw attempts per game?
And listen, this is Luka, who I will tell you he is one of those players where he's trying to draw a foul and everything is it's got a little bit of extra,
like the dramatic.
Yes. Yeah. And I think and to give Laker fans some credit in this, there's a lot of Laker fans that are like, can you stop doing that? And this is a squad watching one of the best players out there.
Right. I agree. By the way, really interesting insight from Brian Windhorst we can share in the 5 o'clock hour about LeBron James' 23rd season in the NBA, how it started and how he's playing right now. We'll hear from Windhorst in the 5 o'clock hour. Plus, will San Diego State's Chris Johnson get drafted tonight in the first round of the NFL draft? It'll get underway on the other side. And the Padres heading for Mexico City at this hour.
17-8.
It's 17-8. Winners of 2 out of 3 in Colorado. A remarkable come-from-behind win today with 5 runs in the 9th. So tons to get to in the final hour here on Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app.
This report is sponsored by Valley View Casino and Hotel. The Padres won their series against the Rockies today in Denver, coming back in the 9th inning to win at 10-8 off of Gavin Sheets' 3-run home run. And Mace Miller came in at the bottom of the 9th to close it out, picking up his 9th save of the year. The NFL draft is about 10 minutes away from announcing their first pick. The Raiders will be on the clock here in about 10 minutes or so. In NBA news, Thunder forward Jalen Williams is listed as week to week with a grade 1 left hamstring strain, and he will miss at least games 3 and 4 of their series. Right now, with about 4 minutes to go in the first half, Atlanta leads the Knicks 55-38. And coming up about 10 minutes, we'll have the tip of Toronto, Cleveland. And at 6:30, we've got Nuggets and Timberwolves. Be the 3C's MVP this month at Valley View Casino and Hotel. On April 24th, one lucky winner will score cash, and more cash, or a spin for $100,000 during the 3C's giveaway. Only at San Diego's favorite casino.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? Final hour of Schaefer and Sliwa. We'll keep you up to date on this opening round of the NFL draft. We might hear an Aztec have his name called tonight. Chris Johnson, the outstanding corner for San Diego State. But also earlier today, the Padres with a remarkable 5-run ninth, including this go-ahead eventual game-winning home run from Gavin Sheets. This is what it sounded like.
Gavin Sheets on his birthday. Sheets hits one in the air to right field, down the line. That ball is back, and that ball is gone. 3-run home run for Gavin Sheets. Holy Sheets in Denver. Padres trail by 3 coming into the 9th. The Mile High Miracle. Padres take the lead.
Another one of those calls, Alan, we said this a week or so ago, like where he's genuinely surprised at the way the inning unfolded. And I think we were as well kind of watching it. Even in Denver, the 5 runs is a big inning.
It's funny that the Orsillo call, you're right. There was a little bit of, this was the same one. It was, I think, Jackson Merrill down the line against the Mariners. They come back from 6-0, and he's not sure if the winning run is going to come around and score, and he does. This one was,
you're right.
If Don just looked at Gavin Sheets, he knows it's a 3-run homer because Sheets stayed in the box, kind of looked at it for a quick second, but it wasn't even that far out. Obviously, just stayed fair. Man, John, they've had a lot of moments so far this year where it's like, listen, I get it. It's early in the season, but that's a lot of special moments early on. I could go back to, I could look at games where they came back 4-0 to the Red Sox. I could look at Xander Bogaerts, his walk-off grand slam, followed by a walk-off 3-run homer by Gavin Sheets, followed by a walk-off double or triple, whatever you want to call it, from Jackson Merrill that scores 2.
Down 6-0 in that game.
Down 6-0 in that game. Then you got this game from Gavin Sheets. Like,
that's a lot,
man. To think about not even a month in the season, and you have these special moments.
Yeah,
I haven't even said Mason Miller. I haven't talked about Laureano. I haven't talked about some of the pitching from the Padres, how great Randy Vasquez has been. They got a lot of stuff that has gone on in less than 30 days.
You made a point, and I agree with you. In general, over the last, week or two, where like it's hard to compare teams to other versions of the team. It's like you can't say, well, the 2026 Padres, this reminds you of the 1998 Padres. There's so many different factors. I mean, you can't even go back a year because things change. Yeah. But I'm just telling you in my heart of hearts what it feels like watching them, and it feels to me like 2024. Now, it's not like 2024 they won the World Series, but I remember saying a lot.
They were legit,
either on the wrap-up show or on the radio, that I couldn't even come up with a top 12 list of their moments.
Wow.
It was like 24. There were so many ridiculous things that played out. And that's basically what you're telling me now. You just rattled off 5 or 6
off the top of my head.
25 games. They've only played 25 games. If this were to continue, we're going to have 20 or 30 things we're looking back on that are pretty special or memorable potentially.
So 2024, they didn't win it all, but 2024, a lot of people thought they had a legitimate chance of winning it all. That's all you're looking for.
I thought it was
right?
the best team of Preller's run, better than 2022 was.
Oh,
Soto.
yeah.
Even though they beat the Dodgers, I thought the team was better constructed.
I agree with you on that. And, obviously, listen, if they got past the Dodgers, you never know what could have happened. But there's a big difference, I think, between the 2024 team and the 2025 team, which is why you're hoping 2026 is closer to the 2024 squad. I don't think anybody walked in, unfortunately, but that final month of September just took whatever momentum that you felt like you had at the trade deadline. All of a sudden, you felt after all the trades that they made, they get Laureano, they get Fermin, they get Mason Miller. Like, they made a lot of changes. Ryan O'Hearn, they made a lot of changes at the trade deadline, but it didn't translate. And you saw the entire month of September play out. And it's like, you thought for a moment you got a legit shot at the NL West now. And if you have a legit shot at the NL West, then you got to worry about the wild card. And what ended up happening is, I don't think a lot of people walked in with this confidence going up against the Chicago Cubs. Even if you got past the Cubs, it just didn't feel like they had a legit shot to win a World Series. 2024 did. So if you're tying this early start back to that 2024 team, what you're saying is they got a chance to make some noise. And I don't think last year's squad gave you that feeling.
I heard something last night in watching or consuming where heading into last night, they had been homerless in 5 consecutive games. Not normally a good sign, right? The last time they were homerless in 5 consecutive games, they went 0-5. This version of a 5-game homerless streak, they were 4-1. Which is, again, speaking to what the theme of today's show, we didn't necessarily intend for this, is to say that they really have had like the tenets of a team. Like, it's not, they're just relying on, when Machado homers, they win. But when he doesn't, they don't. It's not like Machado's hit 9 home runs. And man, when he's been good, they've been great. But when he's not, they're not. No, that's not who they are. They've done it in different ways, by and large with pitching. There haven't been a lot of 10-8 games like today, but they came back from 6-0 down. They came back from 4-0 down. And I heard one of the players say it recently too. Like, when the pitching needs to pick us up, it has. And when the hitting needs to get the job done, by and large, it has. I feel that way about this team right now, that it is a team and it's not a collection of individuals based on their play.
Yeah, and this last 3 games, this 3-game sample size is a good idea. They went 2 or 3 from the Rockies. The first, how they won game 1 was wildly different of how they won game 3. Your pitching carried you in game 1. Your hitting carried you in game 3, which again kind of goes back to our collective conversation that we're having here. It's early, but
how long do we say that?
I think 2 months in. Like, don't you have to get to maybe past the 25% mark of the season?
25% is 40 games, right?
Yeah.
40 times 4.
Yeah.
That's 15 more games.
Maybe
mid-May.
30%. I don't know what it is.
No, I know. I do it all the time.
Well, here's why it's early enough, because like you and I were looking at the standings and it's like, hey, the Reds going to stay where they're staying. Right. Are the Phillies going to start winning games? Are the Mets? You're not in August where you're like, yeah, I kind of know exactly what this team is, and what that team is around the league. The one thing I think that's also, of all the storylines about this year, Craig Stammen is a first-time manager in the league. And I think that's got to be one of the more, I think, bright spots of everything we've talked about so far with the Padres. We listened to him a little bit earlier. He was talking about Matt Waldron. It was such a kind of a unique conversation. He took what you would think as a negative from Matt Waldron, where he gives up another 6 runs and he's at 2 bad starts for the Padres, and said some stuff post-game that maybe was wildly honest, maybe took us behind the scenes that you don't typically hear from a manager. And we could walk away from this start with Matt Waldron and say, all right, he didn't pitch well, but damn it, he fought for the Padres just to get to 5 innings, just to help the rest of the squad. He was going to eat as many runs as he can. Stam is another guy that I think we could certainly compliment.
Last October, they're in the postseason for a second straight year, rare in the history of the franchise. They've won 90 games back-to-back years for the first time ever. And abruptly, their manager walks. This was seen as a big roadblock at the time for the franchise. Mike Schilt, who had and what Mike Schilt had to say about the toll it took on him, and you could even hear it in his voice when they made the playoffs. This is the hardest year of my career. Was basically the premise of it. So from that moment where there was like all this it was very up in the air.
Everything
felt to me
was.
very up in the air. And then Craig Stammen, the way he got involved in the managerial process, he was in the organization. But I don't know. It's like you're 25 games in. To your point, it's early, but I don't feel like that remains really a question about like, well, are they going to be able to do it without Mike Schill? That's going to be different. I'm not saying they're going to make the postseason today or they're going to be better than Mike Schill, but I just feel like Craig Stammen has kind of taken that question away from us where it's like, oh, there's a big question mark now that they don't have this veteran, tenured, successful manager. It doesn't seem to be the same question right now.
I can tell you because from my perspective, I thought the offseason, I was like, this is going to be a train wreck. Mike Schill steps down.
Yep.
Manager wins 90 plus games for, you said is that the first time in Padres history? They make it to the postseason 2 years in a row. I mean, you're starting to kind of go through a stretch here where you're having some real success. And then you start asking the question when Mike Schill steps down, why? Is it because Preller's not getting an extension?
Is it the
Is it because the ownership is
good point.
The question about ownership? So I'm walking into the offseason. I'm like, this is going to be a free. You know what? Padres probably missed their window. Like if they had a window, maybe the window's starting to close. You have these bad contracts. You have this. There's uncertainty about AJ Preller. There's uncertainty about the team. I mean, anytime you have ownership and in-house fighting.
I agree.
And then here we're sitting today. They got sold, hopefully to the right ownership group. Certainly, they look like they have a little bit of an identity. Certainly, Craig Stammen has got off to a phenomenal start. Yeah. And we're all sitting. Preller got his extension. Like there's a lot has happened over the course of the last 6 months.
And I was with you. I thought there were open-ended questions in the offseason, heading into the year about Craig Stammen. Of course, they haven't all been answered.
And I loved Schill. So like for me, and I know a lot of people maybe don't feel the same way, I just love that winning came with Schill.
Yeah, I like the fact that I knew that they were going to be competitive with him, and I didn't know if they would be without him. But I feel like Stammen, to the best of his ability in 25 games, has proven that he's going to do fine, if not better than that. I'd be very surprised if he wasn't capable of doing the job necessary, specifically in 2026, to guide this team where they need to go.
But you wouldn't have been surprised if when the season started that he's struggling.
No,
and that a month in, it's like you got a manager. Of course he's going to struggle. Of course he's walking into a situation where you have to win right now. You're walking into a situation where it's not like he walked into a situation where they don't need to win for a couple of years. It's like, no, you got to win right now. Like there's just the payroll and the players that you have.
Brent, on the other side, do you want to play what it sounded like when Mendoza's name was called, the first pick of the NFL draft? We can do that on the other side. It is underway. Fernando Mendoza going to the Raiders as expected. NFL draft in Pittsburgh underway. Will Chris Johnson, the Aztec, hear his name called tonight? Plus, more on the Padres win in Denver. They're getting ready for Mexico City this weekend against Arizona. And some really fascinating words from Brian Windhorst, the NBA insider on LeBron James and his 2025-2026 season. You'll hear ahead as well here on Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, and live on the iHeartRadio app.
the first pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the Las Vegas Raiders select Fernando Mendoza, quarterback, Indiana.
Roger Goodell, NFL longtime commissioner in Pittsburgh, with the opening round of the NFL Draft underway. That shocker at first overall, Fernando Mendoza, IU quarterback. Who would have ever thought?
Now, Mendoza wasn't there, right?
No, he is in Coral Gables tonight.
Would you? Okay, you're a star player. You're going to get selected in the first round. You going?
I mean, I kind of respect being with family and friends.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you're going to have such a highly public like life from this point forward. You're going to go from one media event to the next. I'm sure he'll be in Las Vegas tomorrow.
No, I'm going.
You're going to go?
I'm going. Let me go put the hat on. Let me be with the commissioner. Let me take some photos. And then when I'm done, I'll fly back to the family and let's get together.
Go to Vegas tomorrow. I'm cool with either way. Whatever the player wants.
Yeah.
You know?
I think there's some different circumstances with Mendoza because his mom has MS.
That's right, yeah.
Just convenience wise, it would have been a lot easier for them just to stay at home.
They have like a 200 person. They just showed his home.
Oh yeah, like every Mendoza family member ever is there.
Well, I think we looked at this about right when we were starting our show together. There have been some pretty high profile players that didn't show up to the draft. So whether it's a specific circumstance or not,
there's been a number in the last handful of years.
I love this just real quick. He said, so Brent says David Bailey is an edge rusher. He goes number 2 to the Jets, and instantly you just look at the Jets logo, and Brent's like, "Oh, his career's over." How about some of the brands out there? And there's a few of them in every single sport where you're like, you get stuck with that team. That squad or that owner, and you're like, yeah, that's nothing good. And every time I see the Jets, and it's like, especially for the draft, they got all their fans. They go Jet. I'm like, just guys, sit down, please.
And the issue is when you're really good in your sport, you go to the really bad teams a lot. Like I mean, this is going to happen in the NFL. It's Raiders and Jets and Browns and Cardinals. Now in the NBA, again, because of this lottery, all of a sudden you got the Spurs picking first, and you have the Dallas Mavericks. These aren't historically awful franchises that have gotten some of the top picks recently, but yeah, you end up with the Jets. There's a decent chance your career doesn't go the way you hoped it would. All right, so you just mentioned this to me, the ninth inning comeback for the Padres, the way it played out before an out was recorded. The Padres had scored all 5 of their runs in the ninth inning. And it all starts with the leadoff walk.
So Jackson Merrill got the walk. Singles by Machado, Bogarts, and Duhar, and then the 3-run homer by Gavin Sheets. So it happened so quick. Like you and I were just sitting in here, and I think we were coming in, we're doing the crossover with Sammy. We had literally just walked in, and Tatis had just struck out because in the 8th, Ramon Laurie, I think it was Fermin that got on, Cronenworth got on, Laureano hit a double, and it put the Padres in a position. They go from 8-4 to 8-5, and Tatis strikes out. He struck out 3 times today. And then before you know it, like you and I come back, we're starting our show. We're in the middle of the first segment. Walk, single, 3-run homer. We hadn't been sitting here for 6-7 minutes, and the Padres were up 10-8.
It was a remarkable inning. And honestly, I'll say it, when they went down 8-4 prior to that 8th inning,
I'll tell you that because I was with you. You know what you said?
Game's over.
You said 10-8.
No, but I did tweet out earlier, it feels like a 1st to 10 type game. But then when they went down 8, it's easy to say that. And then I watched something play out.
1st to 10, and they win
10-8. And I tweeted that when it was 2-2. But you trail 8-4, and you're in the 8th inning, and you're on the road, and you're going to Mexico City.
And you're the Padres offense who struggled in the last 5.
I'm just like, they're not going to win this game. But credit to them. I've done that probably a couple times this year. The 6-0 game, I was like, good luck. I said, circle this Merrill home run. Of course. And then I gave up on him. I quote tweeted it and said, don't circle it. They're down 6-0. And then they came back. And
by the way, maybe that's a little bit of a theme, because I will tell you, as a consumer, as a fan, somebody who's watching these games, if your squad does this a couple times, where they do come back from 4 down or 2 down or late in the game, it's going to force you to kind of say, well, they've done it before. Let me tune in just a little bit longer. And it also works the other way. If there's times where you're like, my team ain't going anywhere, then you're expecting to lose. Right now, there's a little bit of a vibe for the Padres. Hey, if they're down 5-3 in the 9th, the game ain't over. If they're down 6-4 in the 8th, the game's not over.
And I like the vibe from like the internal clubhouse. Like, we're not out of games.
Yeah.
We believe we can do this. There's something to be said for having that belief as a team, I think it goes a long way, and it's played out so far.
I think it's quite the contrast too, compared to like previous seasons, to where we're like, oh, if we fall behind 2-0,
there have been those.
we're screwed because
Sure.
we just can't score runs
Sure.
this year. And
Last
this year it's like
year.
we're down 4, and it was like, no, we're good. Don't leave.
Last year was Schilt in September. They're bunting in Colorado. They bunted today, but forget about that. They're calling for bunts in Colorado in the first inning with a man on to move them over and get them in. I'm like, what are they doing? Like, why are you trying to squeeze it like that? Like, so it just felt tighter and
I'll
harder.
tell you
for
why
them
they're trying to
score.
do it. That showed just how little confidence they had in manufacturing a run. And by the
Right.
way, if your manager feels that way about you, then imagine how you feel every time you're going out
That's
there.
exactly right. That's exactly right. So I do feel like it feels different right now with the Padres. They'll be in Mexico City taking on the Arizona Diamondbacks. I bet a lot of Padres fans will be there. When they were there 3 years ago and I was there were probably 10,000 Padres fans.
That's great.
It was incredible.
Phenomenal.
In the city, in Mexico City, everywhere you go, T-shirts, hats, tourism sites, T-shirts,
I screwed
hats.
up, man. I
You
screwed
could have
up.
been there.
I should have planned this out a little bit better. Tried to get out there, and I'm not making it happen.
The thing is, they played a lot of international games over the years.
Yeah.
Japan, Korea, Mexico City,
That's right how they
Monterrey.
started.
Remember Monterrey? They got no hit in Monterrey by the Dodgers about 8 or 9 years ago. But they'll be playing internationally again.
And listen, the 2-game set they have against Arizona, it's going to be a good matchup, right? This is obviously a divisional foe. This is somebody that you're probably, I'd have told you this, and you'd probably agree with this. Coming into the season, there is a little bit of, all right, you might have to be playing second in the NL West. Dodgers may run away with this thing. The team that you felt like you're going to be competing with in the division is the Arizona Diamondbacks. We'll spend more time on that tomorrow, but I like this 2-game set. I like that it's coming off of the way they won in Colorado. You've won 6 series in a row, and now you're going up against Arizona. Could be in the playoffs as well. So the Diamondbacks obviously got a lot of talent as well. I like this matchup.
Yeah, absolutely. These are teams that could be fighting for playoff spots or some type of home field advantage at some point in the postseason in 2026. All right, we'll step aside. We'll hear from Brian Windhurst on LeBron James and his remarkable season coming up, plus updates from the first round of the NFL draft in Pittsburgh. It's Schaefer and Sliwa on San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app.
This report is sponsored by Taco Bell. The Padres won their series today in Denver against the Rockies, coming back in the 9th inning off of a Gavin Sheets 3-run homer. Mason Miller came in the bottom of the inning to close it out and pick up his 9th save. The team goes on the road Saturday to play in Mexico City against the Diamondbacks. The NFL draft is underway, and to no one's surprise, Mendoza went number 1 to the Raiders. In NBA news, Thunder's Jalen Williams has been listed as week to week with a grade 1 left hamstring strain. He will miss at least games 3 and 4 of their series. And right now, they just started the second half in Atlanta, and it is the Hawks up 63-54 over the Knicks. About 3 minutes to go in the first quarter in Toronto. It is the Raptors 25 and the Cavaliers at 19. And coming up at 6:30, we got Denver taking on the Timberwolves. Taco Bell turned Diablo sauce into a dust, and they're dusting the new Diablo dusted crispy chicken nuggets in it. A brand new classic only at Taco Bell at participating U.S. Taco Bell locations for a limited time and while supplies last.
All right, Schaefer and Sliwa on San Diego Sports 760. I will say this about the first round of the NFL draft. It's moving at a good clip. They've had 4 of the 32 picks in probably 20 minutes because it started around 5:10, and they're 4 picks in at 5:30. So you do the math on that.
Yeah.
I think it's probably over by 8. Like they've put it in a nice TV window, which I appreciate. You're getting the first round. If you're on the East Coast, it's from 8 to 11. If you're on the West Coast, it's from 5 to 8. So I appreciate that.
If it was the NBA, they'd have 37 ads in between.
True.
No, the NBA will stretch this thing. They'll do a replay. The NBA will be like, we're going to have to replay it. We're not sure if that's the guy that they drafted.
Dude, when we were younger, the NFL draft had 15 minutes between picks.
That's right.
In the first round. It took
10
forever. Now? It's 8. They switched it to 8 this year.
Okay.
So, I mean, think
that's good.
15.
That's smart. That's like kind of paying attention to your consumer and saying, do we really need this much time in between?
It used to take 6 hours.
Yeah.
Like 15 minutes between picks. It would take 6 hours. They have it down to 3 hours. It's way better for TV.
Chargers should lose their pick.
Yes.
For no reason. Just they should lose
because they moved 9.5 years ago or whatever.
And they should lose a pick for another 9.5 years.
Like the Vikings that one year, just forget to make their pick on time.
Oh, yeah. Remember that? What was that about? By the way, I will say this about Chris Johnson, who we talked to this week, the San Diego State cornerback, and now we've talked to the Aztecs defensive coordinator, Demetrius Sumler, today. The more we're getting, like, this is playing out, we're watching in real time, I don't know if I really want him going to the Chargers. I'm just going to say that. I'm just putting it out there. It's not his fault. I mean, it's just, and I don't even know if they're rumored to be taking a corner, by the way. I don't think they are.
This is just you talking.
I'm just saying, I don't think I want
I'm with you on that. I mean, I'd love to root for him. I genuinely want to root for him. Here's a proud Aztec, 4 years at San Diego State University. I love the way San Diego State and him have, some of the quotes that you're seeing online on X and everything else.
Yep.
Clearly he's proud to be getting into the NFL and wants to show other athletes that you can come through San Diego State. You could stay here for 4 years. You don't have to play for a big time program. Obviously one of the Power Four, and you could be an Aztec. And of course I don't want to see him go to the Chargers.
By the way, real quick, and then we can
any other team.
We can hear from Brian Windhurst coming up on LeBron. But there was a bold prediction at ESPN.com today about Chris Johnson being the second cornerback off the board. That was the bold prediction. Some have him as like the third or fourth. But it said, this is the line I didn't like. Johnson has spectacular film and a much cleaner evaluation than someone else he's competing with to be the second best corner. But it goes on to say, with only small school competition to worry about. It's not small school. I understand the pecking order of power to non-power. But it's not small school. They're not playing like, I mean, what's a small school?
But let me ask you this. If you're...
It's not Division 3.
Was this ESPN?
ESPN.
How do you want ESPN to describe...
Just put G6 competition. The small school is disrespectful. It's not a small school.
It's not a small university. I'm with you that term is not the right term.
Right.
But I know what they're trying to say. And what they're trying to say is whether we like it or not, there's truth to it.
Right. The one of the knocks would be, has he played that level of competition week in and week out? Well, no, he didn't play in the SEC. To your point, right? He didn't play in the Big Ten.
And that's like, I get where they're coming from in that.
But smaller.
And I like that you're fighting back.
I'm fighting back.
I like that. You're freaking wearing an Aztec hat.
I am.
I like that.
Had a couple of Aztec guests. Okay, set this up because Brian Windhorst has covered the NBA for a long, long time.
Yeah.
He had some interesting things to say about LeBron at the start of the year compared to what's playing out right now.
Well, let me throw you a question real quick. Of all the NBA storylines so far in the postseason, what's one of the main storylines?
Are you going to tell me the Lakers being up 2-0 with LeBron leading the way with Luka out?
It's one of the storylines.
Yeah.
Like it is. Like, no question about it.
Yep.
I mean, you could look at, I don't know, you pick and choose. Magic taking a game of the Pistons, Wemby going down. There's some storylines. One of the biggest storylines is one of the bigger underdogs in the playoffs were the Lakers against the Houston Rockets, and they're up 2-0. Part of the reason why they're up 2-0 is because LeBron James looks like he's 35 years old.
Right.
He's
Gotcha.
41. He's 23 years in the NBA. So Brian Windhorst was on with Dan Patrick, and early in the season, if you remember how things were playing out early in the season, he missed the first 14, 15 games. He's dealing with sciatica, so he doesn't get a chance to be a part of training camp and all this other stuff. He looked awful. And let's listen to Windhorst, because Windhorst is basically talking about what his thought process was seeing LeBron early in the season to what he's looking at now.
When he first came back, Dan, with that sciatica thing, he looked terrible by, just being fair. Like, and I'm not saying that like that was shocking, but like for the first time, he looked old. And I remember watching when he first came back, whatever it was, late November, December, and saying, oh, this might be it. In fact, I had a meeting with my bosses and I go, we may need to start our content planning for him retiring because he looks for the first time like an old man who can't compete.
That is amazing to hear because of what's playing out right now, where you're carrying a team.
And he did look that way early on.
That's insane.
Brother, 2 months ago, there was, and I'll throw some egg on my own face here, but 2 months ago, I was saying, like, look, it had nothing to do with LeBron. I think people get stuck with this, like, I think LeBron's one of the greatest players I've ever watched play the game. I love his style of basketball. I mean, I honestly have nothing but compliments for LeBron.
Right.
But 2 months ago, I'm sitting back, I'm saying to myself that you gotta, in order to properly build around Luka, you can't bring LeBron back next year. You can't bring him back for his 9th season. How much is he going to cost? This and that.
Yeah.
I kind of look stupid.
Well, I look
stupid.
I don't think you look stupid though, because if it was on a knife's edge heading into the year, now dealing with some injuries, I don't even. What is sciatica?
I'm
just saying, like,
I don't know the details of it.
But I'm saying if you're dealing with something health related, which makes sense when you're in your 40s, by the way, you're not in your 20s,
like that.
But
yeah, it's a back.
It's a back.
Yeah.
But hear me out. So like next year, and I'm with you, maybe they make the second round. Who knows what happens if Jalen Williams is out? Who knows how this ends? But listen, you're on a bit of a tightrope now. You're 24. There's gonna be a moment it's not gonna work. So like, I
feel like I've been saying that for 5 years.
I know, no longer than that. People have been saying that about LeBron. They said that about Tom Brady for 10 years. But maybe so there won't be a moment. Well, how's it end then? He just walks away.
I still go with like the same thought process of. I do think you're going to eventually have to build around Luka. I think that
hope so.
He's got enough areas in his game too, where it's not like Luka's a lockdown defender. It's not there's areas of his game. So as I kind of sit here, the idea is every dollar that you use in the offseason has to go around some of his deficiencies. And I'm talking about Luka Doncic.
Why does LeBron, and this is a serious question I'm asking you as someone that covers the Lakers each and every day. Brent, what do you have? Sciatica?
Sciatica is a pain originating from the lower back that comes from a sciatic nerve. It runs from your butt down to one leg.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah, it's not painful.
When we first heard it, and go back to what you were saying, but when I first heard he had sciatica, like I just kind of thought, I was like, is that like somebody a lot older will have? That's not the case. Yeah.
Right. I forgot where I was going. What were we talking about?
Talking about LeBron.
Man,
I kind of forgot too.
I forgot what we were saying. There's been a trade in the NFL, by the way.
Okay.
Pick 6 is going from the Browns to the Chiefs, according to Adam Schefter.
Wow.
The Chiefs all the way up to number 6 overall. I had I was saying you as someone that has covered the NBA, and man, it was so important what I was
so good.
say. Oh my gosh, it would have been the best thing of the day. Probably one of the moments of my career. And now I forgot.
Well, that's what happens when you talk.
Oh, why does LeBron need to get paid this offseason? Serious question is it, why wouldn't he just, if you want to stay, if you want to win, why aren't you taking the league minimum? No, I'm serious. Because of his ego?
Why? I don't know if it's ego or it's, I could put it two ways. Do you want to put it ego or do you want to put it value?
Yeah, he's got value. But you have Nike deals and you have everything. You have production
but there's people who are billionaires who understand they're billionaires.
But it's your 24th year and time is now precious in terms of winning.
Here's how he can be a hero in a weird way, right? I mean, maybe hero's too dramatic of a word.
Right.
But the season can end and he could just say, listen, I want to stay in LA. I want to be a Laker. And I feel like we got a better shot trying to win here than me trying to go chase somewhere else. This will be my 9th year with the Lakers. Go do everything you need to do as far as putting together the right roster. Come to me after all of that and let's see what we're working with.
Do you think what's more realistic?
Okay.
He returns or he leaves? Returning, correct?
You know, I would say, because here's the question you have to ask yourself. What's more
likely?
The three things that are most likely, right? Staying, leaving,
retiring.
Or retiring.
Yeah.
I don't think that's out of play either.
Sure.
Of all those three, today as we're sitting here, probably most likely
stay.
Yeah, he probably comes back, which I don't think anybody would have said a couple months ago.
But here's the other thing, and I get it. This is high-level athlete that we've rarely seen in our lifetime. Mm-hmm. But are you leaving your son? Like it's all right there still.
Yeah,
Bronny's still there.
But Bronny would go too.
He'd come with him. Yeah, package deal. Okay. That's fair. That's a good way to look at it. Interesting.
I
don't want to see him finish in like Memphis.
No, but I don't think he would. I think if he finished anywhere,
Utah.
Here's what's not going to happen. If he finishes somewhere, he's not going to go because the Grizzlies paid him $40 million.
What about
that's not going to happen.
Can you go to Cleveland for like the 100th time? Has anyone ever played for the Cavs 100 times?
I think there was a lot of people that thought that might be most likely of the scenarios if he did leave. But listen, I think based off of what's happened, there's still a lot of basketball left. They're up 2-0, whether they end up winning the series or they don't. But now, obviously, the likelihood of them winning is much stronger. Maybe Austin Reeves comes back. Maybe Luka comes back for the next round. Just so much has changed since, they went on a run in March where they went 15-2. So it's a lot that's happened.
All right. Updates from round 1 of the NFL draft. Somewhere Sammy Long is on the edge of his seat as the Chiefs have traded up for the 6th pick in the NFL draft. What do you have, Brad?
The trade was the Browns gave up their sixth pick, and they are getting Kansas City's the 9th pick, the 74th pick, and the 141st pick.
Oh, the 141st.
From going from 9 to 6, the Chiefs gave up the 141st and the 70 something.
I wonder who it is.
I like moving up. Who cares about it?
Well, I just like it comes down to the franchises. Like if the Chiefs,
would you rather go to the Chiefs or the Browns?
If the Chiefs went from 6 to 9 and getting the other ones, you would say Chiefs are playing chess. But it's the fact that it's the Chiefs and the Browns that you're instantly saying the Chiefs made the right move.
Yeah, well, the Browns, I get them trading down. What do they need? They're a finished product. They don't need anything. They can just keep trading down.
When you're that successful.
Oh, yeah. Well, you don't need players.
Stay as is.
All right, updates from the NFL draft. Chris Johnson, San Diego State corner, hoping to get drafted tonight in the first round. This is Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, final time here. Schaefer and Sliwa. Just final time for
Final
today.
time.
You
This is
love
it.
that. It's like final destination. We are back tomorrow at 3 p.m. By the way, tomorrow, I haven't even mentioned this to Alan, but I'll mention it right now on air. We had Brian Dutcher today. One of his players that announced he will be back, Tay Simmons, who will be a sophomore forward on next year's team. He will join us tomorrow.
All right, let's do it.
Talk about returning
I like it.
to the Mesa. So Tay Simmons will join us. It's a Padres off day, by the way, tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because they'll be in Mexico City.
By the way, how nice is that? You get to go
You get a
fly
day
from
off.
Colorado, go to Mexico City. You're coming off a high of the 10-8 win, won 6 series in a row. You look up at the standings. He got one of the best records and all. How good does Gavin Sheets feel right now?
Oh, he's got to feel
His
great.
birthday?
His birthday today. 3 years ago, when I was there, there's this like famous tourism attraction somewhere in the outskirts of Mexico City where you go down these canals and these beautiful, like, I don't even know what they are. They're not canoes. These boats down a canal. They're colorful boats. And they have these vendors there and food and drink. Well, my wife and I went down the day before we did. It was the Padres off day. It was the Friday. There were pictures of Tatis, like on a private one of these boats, maybe family, friends, just in the morning on one of these boats. But I think a lot of these players really do enjoy it. They get, an off day in there as well. The NFL draft is playing out. Something that I found pretty unique is that for the first time ever, these top picks are signing their first ever Topps card from the draft. Like they're coming out, they've got their jersey, they sign a Topps card, which Topps is selling, I guess, tonight online. Now, you and I are also like, why are these cards including the commissioner?
So stupid.
The cards have like the player with the commissioner. I don't know if I need a card with the commissioner.
You know what's in the way they have this set up? They got the the NFL draft logo, the NFL right behind him, right? The NFL draft 2026.
Yeah, we don't need the commissioner in these cards.
Take the picture with the commissioner. That's fine.
Yep.
But then can you not just have the player holding his jersey with the draft logo in the background without Roger Goodell?
Right.
Do you really need Roger Goodell in there?
By the way, another Ohio State Buckeye has come off the board. I think 3 of the first 7 picks are Ohio State.
Sheesh.
They did not win the national championship, obviously. Indiana did. And how about this for Aztec fans? Chris Johnson may be, according to some teams and scouts, the best available cornerback remaining because what many to believe to be the top corner, this one out of LSU, just went 6th overall to the Kansas City Chiefs, who traded up to get him. So potentially, according to some of these teams drafting tonight, Chris Johnson could be the best available cornerback on the board, and we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, kind of interesting to see it all play out too, because we were just talking about this off air. So you were, if you were going to go, let's say top 6, you didn't know the Chiefs were going to get you at 6. Chiefs trade up to get the number 6 pick, and this is so unique because you got a probably legit corner coming out of LSU, going to the Kansas City Chiefs, getting a chance to play with Mahomes and Patrick and Andy Reid, and you just got to look at this. Like usually players that are that good. Look at some of the other picks. You got Mendoza going to the Raiders. You got the edge rusher going to the Jets. Like you're supposed to go to a bad team, and here's this guy's going to go to the Chiefs.
Interesting note, by the way, about like a path to a draft. Fernando Mendoza out of high school was ranked in his class, for whatever it's worth, at Rivals in the 1400s of all available players his year. A 2-star. They don't even rank 2-stars. It's usually 3, 4, 5 in college football at the Division I. A 2-star. By the way, the LSU corner that was just drafted 6th overall, the Kansas City traded up for that you just mentioned,
whose dreams are shattered for not going to the Browns.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Was ranked in the 600s in his class.
Wow.
It's just amazing how that sometimes the number 1 player out of high school is a great player. They get drafted in the first round. Other times the journeys are really pretty fascinating. Mendoza is a really good one, actually.
How many times do we see this? And we'll use Kawhi Leonard as an example.
Yeah, that's a good one.
13th, 14th. Giannis was further down the draft.
Yeah.
There's some players that go in the second round like that. That's kind of the beauty of
That's a great point.
Some of these sports is a lot of guys that you never really thought were going to do. And by the time this was all said and done, you'll have 5th and 6th rounders going somewhere that end up being, real deal players for their franchise.
I mean, by the way, I always go back to this just because I went to high school there, but the 1996 NBA draft, Kobe goes 13th. 12 players are drafted in front of Kobe Bryant. And by the way, when Kobe was drafted 13th, it's not like everyone was like, what a steal. Nobody knew who Kobe Bryant was.
Only Jerry West.
By and large. All right. Nobody really knew.
Sure.
But that's the thing with, we said Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a break. 7th round selection, arguably the best player in the history of the sport. Like, was Kobe better than Kerry Kittles? Let me answer
Was
that.
the Nets, right?
He went to the Nets. Was he
Yeah.
better than Samaki Walker?
Ended up being a Laker. So
Okay.
technically, they both shared Samaki Walker.
Todd
oh my
Fuller?
gosh.
Was he better than Todd Fuller? I'd argue yes.
That's crazy.
Drafts are fascinating because the future, like 20-year futures of franchises.
1,000%. What was the you were talking about the Topps cards?
Yeah.
What the Jordan card go for?
So Brent had it 4 point how much, Brent? A Jordan card today?
4.25.
What is the card, Brent? So, because I want to know, because a Kobe card today went for over $3 million.
That's the one I thought he was talking about.
That was at ESPN.com today. That's a precious metal gem card, a $3 million card today for the 90s.
So it says an on-card autograph 97-98 upper deck game jersey Michael Jordan card.
Oh, wow.
With a jersey swatch embedded from the 1992 NBA All-Star game, has sold privately for $4.25 million. It's the most paid for a solo Michael Jordan card.
And that wasn't us. I didn't buy that card. Did you buy that card?
How about me saying, why doesn't Jordan just sign 15 of these and sell them each
them.
a bill?
Seriously.
I'm looking at it right. It's a very boring card.
Is it
too.
really?
Yeah. It's if
Small
you
photo
go
of
to the
him.
link on ESPN, they have a
I'll have
picture
to
of
check
it.
it out.
But it's from the All-Star game, so it's like a
Interesting.
practically all
Yeah.
white card, and then the only color pretty much on it is
That
the swatch of
patch.
jersey. Yeah.
Yeah, the Kobe card that sold earlier today for $3 million, I thought was more visually appealing.
I'm going to look at that.
Yeah, I thought it was a very visually appealing card. Okay, so the draft is underway. By the way, we have Fox Sports Radio's draft coverage on the other side of Schaefer and Sliwa tonight. They're reporting from inside Fernando Mendoza's house, by the way, Alan. How about this? This may be a first. They actually
That's
have
awesome.
a reporter in. Is this sponsored? Or is this just actually they're talking to him?
No, they're talking about
Okay, I thought it might be
they're
sponsored.
talking. Oh, no, you know what?
I think this is
Oh,
actually sponsored.
Yeah, you might be right. He's out on his phone.
Oh, this is
All right, maybe
bizarre.
it's all sponsored.
That's right. He works with LinkedIn because he looks like he would be like a banker.
Bro, we got
LinkedIn.
played.
We did. I'm like,
You
this
just
is
got rickrolled.
We
Yeah.
just gave love to LinkedIn out of nowhere.
But I looked at it, I'm like, this doesn't look right.
It should have been. It's State Farm. He looks like an insurance agent.
Doesn't he?
Yeah.
That was a good ad. Really good ad. All right, we're back tomorrow at 3 p.m. Again, we've got Fox Sports Radio's coverage of the NFL draft on the other side. A couple of hours of that coming up for you, beginning in just a handful of minutes. If you missed anything today, go to sportssd.com or the iHeartRadio app, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Spotify. We had Brian Dutcher on the show, Aztecs defensive coordinator Demetrius Sumler as well. All right, back tomorrow at 3 p.m. for Brent and Allen. I'm John. This has been Schaefer and Sliwa on San Diego Sports 760. We've been live on the iHeartRadio app. Peace.